watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, brought to you as always by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Acacia Clement. As we are just getting started, there'll be plenty to look forward to and a lot of the big stars this evening here on our program. We'll be bringing you live racing tonight from the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And as mentioned, it is going to be a lot of the big names that you'll recognize. Of course, it's Meadowlands Pace night, and we'll take a look at what's coming up as today's races, a lot of exciting ones on the program, as of course highlighted by that Meadowlands Pace. And we will have an opportunity to see some of the big stars in Nijinsky and, of course, Karl as well. And we'll have the opportunity to talk a lot more about some of those as we come along. Welcome in my co-host for the evening, Paul Verderosa. As Paul, of course, we're really excited to be back together talking about harness shows, harness racing. It's been a little while since we've done a show together, but I mean, you look at the body of work that Nijinsky has put together this year, and it's just incredible.
It's amazing to think that as a 2-year-old, he was 1 for 10. 1 for 10. Comes back as a 3-year-old, fills out physically, mentally. He's a badass right now when you look at him on track. He is on a win streak, and he's got the hot hand going into tonight's race. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, it absolutely will be, as we'll take a look at the field for race 11 today, the Meadowlands Pace. And of course, Nijinsky going to be the highlight here as he looks for the first North America Cup Pace double since Tall Dark Stranger did exactly that in 2020. And we'll see what Nijinsky can do as he's undefeated here in 2024, taking a look at his North America Cup win.
You know, in his North America Cup win, I felt like he got a really good trip in here, and he parlayed it into a win. I mean, when so many good horses come together, Acacia, it really becomes all about trip at the end of the day. And he happened to pull a really good trip in that race, parlayed it into a win, and kept the train rolling. And that's what made him so tough, even coming down here and is a limb win.
He's just been so fun to follow as well. Of course, going to be kind of the big name leading into that Meadowlands Pace, which will be one of the features on tonight's program. We call it Meadowlands Pace night, but as I said, it's really one of the features because you have a lot of the stars coming up throughout the evening. But as far as Nijinsky is concerned, as mentioned, 6 for 6 this year, and that's coming off of a year last year, which maybe was not nearly as strong, just one win in 2023.
It's amazing when you look at horses, right? Because they go through their cycles where they start off and sometimes they're running really well, and then you have to worry sometimes they're going to back off. He just really didn't have that. He just wasn't there mentally. He just wasn't there from a physical standpoint. He didn't put it all together when it came to racing, and suddenly after that 2-year-old season, it's like the light bulb went on. It's like what we see on the thoroughbred side. They grow up sometimes, they mature, they figure it out, and the light bulb has come on for him. There's a lot of good stars in this race, but he is at the top of the heap right now.
He certainly is. And here's a look at the standard bred poll, as we're going to have a lot of the stars on the program tonight. Nijinsky, of course, the leader of that pack.
Yeah, and it's always a good time when you see a list like that, and we're going to see 8 of those horses run tonight. And that's the great thing about standard bred racing, or harness racing, if you will. The stars run. Yeah. It's not like we don't see them once every 2 months or once every 3 months. They might go away for the season, but when everything ramps up, you're going to see them every week, or at least every couple of weeks.
We'll get a chance to see some more big stars as well, but of course highlighted by Nijinsky, but plenty more to come as we welcome in our team on the ground. As always, Jessica Otten and Gabe Pruitt. Really looking forward to Meadowlands Pace night, but of course we keep saying it, and it's worth repeating, guys. Some of those really talented horses that we get a chance to see do their thing and be in the spotlight this evening.
Thanks, Acacia. We're so happy to be back here at the Big M. A big stakes card ahead of us, Gabe. Plenty of action, not just the Meadowlands Pace, but we're going to see Karl in action as well.
Yeah, we have a huge card tonight, Jess. Over $2.4 million in purses. Of course, a signature event, the Meadowlands Pace, the biggest party in harness racing. 11th race tonight, $650,000 on the line, and really the signature event in the entire sport for the entire year for those 3-year-old pacing colts.
We've got Nijinsky coming up on later on card tonight in the Meadowlands Pace final. There was so much action in that elimination. It was complete polar opposite of the first elimination. He really took a lot of heat.
Yeah, when he took the lead, Jess, past the 5/8 mark, that was the fourth different leader in the race. Typically, we see eliminations race a little more conservatively. Well, the gloves were off for that elimination that Nijinsky won there. Not only was he the fourth leader and he had to work really hard to take the lead, he was pressured by Funtime Bayama right through the finish.
And it was a good effort by Funtime Bayama, like you had mentioned. He was parked every step of the mile for his new connections. We'll see him for his second start to connections tonight. And then, of course, coming up in race number 6, Karl. Of course, he, segued away from TCI and Highland Kismet tonight. So it looks like maybe Hambletonian will be the time we'll see them meet up.
Yeah, this is not an easy field, but I think everyone in the sport, Jess, is excited to see, Karl, TCI draw opposite divisions. Hopefully, they both go on the right foot towards that Hambletonian, because we're really looking forward to that, of course, the first Saturday in August.
It is definitely going to be a great first Saturday in August. Karl coming into this race, of course, just that one loss last season. He's so far undefeated this season, and there's really just nothing left to describe him.
No, we've had all the accolades. You took a look at the Breeders' Crown there from last year. We defeated TCI. Now, believe me, TCI made over $1.2 million, and he left him with the dust there. That Breeders' Crown final up at Harris Hoosier Park. So, Karl, he's a 2-year-old trotting colt of the year. He's the horse to beat. He's going to be a huge favorite right here tonight in our first event.
And he's probably going to be the biggest favorite, heading into the Hambletonian. We've got the Hambletonian Maturity on tap again tonight, as well as we did last year. An added distance to that mile tonight. They got a couple of back-tier starters, no Lasix. So that'll be a nice one to catch up on, 12 horses.
Yeah, we get to see usually week in, week out in harness racing, the same distance, usually a maximum 10-horse field. You added 2 new elements there. You go 12 horses, you put 2 of them in the second tier, and behind that starting gate, as you said, Hambletonian rules, race with no Lasix there as well. So typically it pushes the early action, Jess, because some of those horses are mid-pack. If you take back, you're behind the 2 horses that were trailing as well. So it really sort of mixes things up quite a bit, and that extra distance, could pay off in the late stages.
Yes, it definitely does. And I was able to chat with someone earlier on in the night. Those outside horses may have a little bit more of an advantage because the gate gets rolling a little bit earlier. So really excited for all that we have on tap tonight. Of course, that big one, race 11, the Meadowlands Pace final. It's for the Glamour Boy division, a full field of 10. And Nijinsky is the talk of the town, but it's quite an open field, Acacia.
It is. We look forward to seeing that Meadowlands Pace group line up a little bit later, but we're going to be starting things right hot off the bat, as you heard Jess and Gabe alluding to, Paul, with Karl, the early favorite for the Hambletonian. Then this is kind of the last major prep for that Hambletonian, which will take place on August 3rd.
Yeah, when you look at Karl, you have to believe that the plan is go undefeated going in. And he draws in a good division, and he draws a good spot tonight. It's the widest he's ever been. It honestly doesn't matter with him. Post 1, post 4, post 7. He's just a winner. He's faster than these horses. We'll see tonight from an 8-hole, but I think it's just a march to the Hambletonian being undefeated.
We can't wait to see him in the spotlight this evening, and you can play along with all of the action and do so with your Naira Bets account. Sign up, get started, check out NairaBets.com or download the app today, as we have a $250 deposit match bonus, special promo code SPA250. Getting $50 more than usual, so make sure to take advantage of that and sign up now if you haven't already. Check out NairaBets.com for details today. Karl will kick off the action in the Stanley Dancer Memorial, coming up in race 6, going for 10 straight victories. Early Hambletonian favorite to kick off the live racing on our program after this on America's Day at the Races.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Purple Haze Standardbred Adoption Program in Oxford, New York was created in 2018 by Wanda Palacini to provide training to transition for finding homes and new careers for horses. Horses are started with groundwork and then ridden in an arena before moving on. Horses at Purple Haze are then evaluated and adopted out based on abilities and temperament. If you have a horse that you care about, or if you're looking for a great pleasure horse, contact Purple Haze Standardbred Adoption Program at 518-669-2715.
That looks like a pretty good spot to spend a summer evening. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by NyraBets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nyrabets.com today. Live look at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I see a bounce house over there.
Yeah.
And on top of the Ferris wheel, there's Gabe Pruitt. I see him if I look really close.
He's all the way at the top. He left us in the dust. He's going to broadcast from up there. It's a great spot.
He's getting a really good view of the horses warming up from that vantage point. Yeah. The Stanley Dancer coming up, the Division 1, as of course there are 2 divisions tonight. This one, though, features 1-9 favorite Karl.
Yeah, they ended up with an overfill of entries, so they split it. They also split the purse money here, too, as well, so everybody knows that. And the good thing is you've got Karl in one division, and you've got TCI in the other. So they're not matching up against each other just yet again. You have to wait until the Hambo, but you get to see them both anyway.
Well, as far as Karl is concerned, for breeder and co-owner Michelle Crawford, she's standing by with Gabe.
Thanks so much, Acacia. And I am standing by with Michelle Crawford, of course, the co-owner and breeder of Karl. No surprises here, Michelle. Karl 1-9 on the tote board right now, the heavy favorite as you look to take another step forward on the quest for the Hambletonian, the sport's biggest prize. Talk to us what this ride's been like for Karl. He's been sensational, but I know it's still a little nerve-wracking. You always say you like him to do the talking on the track.
I do. I think that's important because we were talking about it earlier with Nancy and our way over here, and we thought, what about a second place finish, a strong second place finish? Thank God Karl doesn't understand what that all means because the pressure is on. I think he's a people's horse at this point, and we just wish him the best. And I know he's going to go out there and give it 100% every single time.
And you guys obviously operate, you along with Al, operate a farm, magnificent farm at upstate New York, just outside Syracuse. You've got a beautiful farm in central Kentucky as well. What does it mean not only in as a co-owner, but a breeder of what many are saying is one of the greatest ever?
When you can go out and sell a horse like Karl or any of our yearlings, we had a fabulous year at the sale last year, and you get owners, and we're a quarter owner, and we have the most amazing ownership group. We have the most amazing team that fold Karl and does all of our breeding back home, watching and cheering him on.
And I think that when you get all of those and then you have a team tactor behind you, and I saw their operation today, it couldn't be more exciting.
And that's what I wanted to ask, because you are about as hands-on as it gets in this business, whether it's your brood mares, your foals, your race horses. You actually went out to the farm this morning. You hung out with trainer Nancy Tactor. You were with Karl all day.
Let's be clear. I don't get my hands that dirty. I leave that up to the experts. But, yes, I was out earlier today, and he was being grazed by Miguel. Like, he has the most amazing care, and these people really care. The operation's fabulous, and it's really fun to go see behind the scenes. The work that goes into it, blood, sweat, tears, all of it. It's really crazy.
It really is a 24-hour job. We all know that. Guys, Karl, no surprises. He's the talk of the toe board here, maybe the superstar of the sport, as he looks to notch another under his belt tonight, the Stanley Dancer. He's up next.
He is so fun to watch, Gabe. Thank you. And I thought so well said by Michelle, talking about the team and the care for these horses, for any horse, for any athlete. The team behind the scenes takes such pride and so much care into what goes into every day-to-day preparation for each of these athletes.
I know. And whether or not, you believe it or not, everybody, it's all hands on. And he's such a handsome dude. He walks around, he knows, he smiles, he's strutting his stuff. He knows he's a little faster than everybody else right now, too. It's what good athletes do, and he's really on his way to stardom.
Looking for his 10th straight win. Karl, the heavy favorite. From the outside, of course, with Yannick Gingras in the bike once again. Let's meet the field, though, for the first division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial. Yes, they all have to get around Karl, but here's his competition. Paul starting off with Tony Adams.
It came a long way from post 9 in the Reynolds last time out. Ran second behind TCI. The bad news is he's still got to find a length or two to beat the guy on the far outside.
He's a big price for Ake Svanstedt. Here's the number 2, Sig Sauer.
It was a nondescript 5th last time, but he is a New Jersey Sire Stakes champion, so he can hang with the heavy hitters. He's probably going to race his way into form.
There's your second choice, Dame Good Time.
Yeah, won this week last time out, and he was the beneficiary when TCI broke in there. Showed good speed.
Here's Amazing Catch, the 4.
He's the horse who came first over and dueled with Dame Good Time last time out. So he ran well, all things considered.
Life on the Bluff is next.
Since the miscue back in May, he's run all right this year. I mean, he's going to have to pick up his feet a little bit. Lucas Wallen horses sometimes take a little bit of time to get themselves going.
There's the 6, Mars Hill.
A couple of decent efforts in a few rounds of the New Jersey Sire Stakes, but he's had some miscues, too, along the way. He's got to mind his P's and Q's tonight.
See if he can keep it all together. There's the 7, Security Protected.
The last two just haven't been pretty, but to be fair in this week, nothing went right for him at all.
And there he is, your heavy favorite, Karl. They had to get a bigger bike because his stride is so long.
Yeah, knocked into it. And it really didn't matter because he just kept winning anyway. It's the furthest outside he's been in a race. We'll see what happens tonight, but honestly, he's faster than this group. Just keep him out of trouble and let him get in a very solid effort.
Are there any concerns for you, given the draw, given that he is going to be outside? Obviously, he has a lot of speed, too. We typically will see him forwardly placed. What's the game plan for Yannick in your mind?
I would think you're going to leave out of there. You're going to see what's going on inside of you. And when the dust settles and they hit the backstretch, it's the old brush and crush. Get to the top as quickly as you can. You're on the best horse, and then just lead them on a chase all the way around.
You see our handicappers' picks. A lot of weight on Karl, but good thing we talked about that big stride, 1-9 on Karl, as we check in with Jess and Gabe. Can they get around the heavy favorite?
I don't think so. Gabe obviously 1-9 on Karl, and he's just such a magnificent animal. And I had a chance to catch up with Yannick a few weeks back. I believe it was back on that May 18th show, and just kind of talked to him a little bit about strategy. And when I said, when you're the heavy favorite, what do you do in an instance like this? And he said, well, I just want to let them know that this horse is versatile, and he will let me do whatever I want with him. And that's just been the case so far.
Yeah, the problem is, it's a long season, Jess. As we know, that 3-year-old campaign, it could be, long and taxing. You'd like it to draw inside, maybe to have a week or two or a race or two where we could sit off the pace a little bit, race him a little more conservative. Karl has drawn in these spots where he's such an overwhelming favorite. It's very similar to tonight, and he's on the outside post. So your hand is almost forced. You have to put him in play and get on and roll him out there. So he really has had to do all the heavy lifting, but so far, that's been no problem.
Karl, of course, you just had a chance to catch up with co-owner and breeder Michelle Crawford, and they just have to be ecstatic about this guy.
Yeah, it's cool to breed good horses,
Right.
but it has to be a different level to breed a great horse. And what many people are saying, that could be one of the all-time greats. Now, obviously, he's going to have to fulfill that resume, but we just haven't seen really any blemish on that record. The one lone loss was by a nose last year, and that was sort of just a really narrow loss. So he's come back exceptional at 3. I really think Karl, the only thing that could really beat him is himself. If he was to make a misstep or whatnot, but we just haven't seen that so far. He can get a little rank on the track at times, sometimes scoring down. You think he's just out there, a little bit off possibly even, but his connection say just likes to play. So he doesn't really get serious until it's showtime, and I think that's what we'll continue to see tonight.
1-9 on Karl, but there's 7 other horses in this race. The 3 Dame Good Time. He's coming off of a win at Zwag at Vernon Downs. He took full advantage of TCI making a mishap behind the gate. He's 3 for 5 so far this season, and he does show miscues on his program page,
well,
too.
He is freaky fast, but here is the key. Typically with trotters, you see them race free-legged. Dame Good Time actually added the hobbles, which has helped him stay on stride. That was his first start with hobbles last time out. He had post 9, which is no easy task. He fired out of the gate. He sat close. He ended up winning that effort up at Vernon Downs. So I think those trotting hobbles have really been key for him. He is very fast. So if there's anyone that's going to try and, knock off slay the dragon, so to speak, it here, it would absolutely be Dame Good Time. This is a horse that is in very good form. He's got the post edge, and I think he'll likely try and leave out here, Jess. Maybe at the end of the day, he'd like to track Karl, take his shot at the top of the lane.
Dame Good Time is taking some action on the tote board as well, 5-1, but it's clear 1-9 for the both of us here on Karl. Acacia.
Very much the horse to beat on Karl. He's 1-9, as you mentioned, Jess. But as far as Dame Good Time, and they talked about it, Paul, he was the horse who was the beneficiary of TCI going off stride, but a horse that's in good form, and you can see that on the tote board is he's the distant second choice.
Yeah, and the other thing with him is, too, he's got the speed to stay with these. 5/8 track, 7/8 track, doesn't matter. He's run races that have been 151 and 152 flat. So he's got forward speed, and he's got speed to stay. Now, whether he's got speed to stay with Karl at the end of the day is a different story. I would think Scotty Z is going to be one of those horses that leave him maybe in front of Karl until they hit the backstretch. But you got to go with what you got best. And in this horse's case, it's using this horse's speed to get forward and at least try and make Karl work a little bit to get to the top.
We mentioned the 2 divisions of this race. You've got TCI, kind of the big name in the second division, coming up a little bit later on. Yes, we'll have to wait to the Hambletonian to see them go head-to-head, but which division are you say you're more interested in?
Honestly, I think Karl's got this race probably locked. Famous last words, right? Infamous famous last words. I'm sorry I'm putting all that pressure on your back, buddy. But I think the 8th race is probably the tougher division.
Yes.
You have TCI overall. Yeah, you have TCI. You have Highland Kismet, whose good times was absolutely great, put that horse on the map. You even have a horse like Situationship as well, who could be a factor in there. So from a division standpoint, I think race 8 is probably the division you're going to want to watch more. From a star standpoint, you're going to want to watch this division with Karl.
Maybe this is just the one that you sit back and enjoy, getting a chance to see some of those top horses. You think about a horse like Bulldog Hanover and what he did for the sport. And the thoroughbred side, you think about a horse like Flightline. Just getting a chance to watch them perform. Karl is slowly getting to that level.
Yeah, he's building himself up. I think of horses like you mentioned, Bulldog Hanover, tattoo artist, horses like that made people want to come and see these horses week after week, month after month. And it's got to be cool in the case of Michelle Crawford and Al, her husband, breeding the horse too. And if you don't know why Karl is named Karl, it is Michelle Crawford's sister-in-law, Carrie's nickname.
Well, there you go. There's trainer Nancy Tactor looking on with horses like this, Paul. I've heard trainers say many times, it's almost more not so much excitement, but just relief when they win.
Yeah, and you always...
Nancy looking a little nervous
Yeah,
there.
it doesn't matter whether your horse is 1-9 or 99-1. Any part of that connection is still going to be that nervous mother or father or, anything, just wanting the horse to run well, come back safe, and have everything go to plan because it's out of your hands once they leave the paddock.
Well, here we go, lining up for Division 1 of the Stanley Dancer Memorial. Can Karl make it 10 straight? Here's Ken Workington with the call.
3, Dame Good Time at 5-1. 3-year-old trotters are set. Race 6. Here they come. They're Off and trotting. Security protected on the outside. Karl just floated away. Amazing Catch is put in play. Dame Good Time from the inside with 6 Sour on the rail. They're about 3, 4, 5 wide. And now Tony Adams cuts the corner. Tony Adams skims the cones, takes the lead. Here comes Security protected on the move up on the outside. 6 Sour is third. Dame Good Time fourth on the inside. Amazing Catch is fifth. Karl to his outside is sixth and looking to tuck in here in front of Life on the Bluff. And then it's Mars Hill, the trailer. First quarter on is 27-1. Security protected. A sweep from Dame Good Time and Scott Ciron taking charge now. So Tony Adams back in the third position, 6 Sour fourth. And now Karl gets in gear on the outside and picking them off and going to challenge for the lead. Amazing Catch is still sixth on the cones, then Life on the Bluff and Mars Hill, they're at the half. Dame Good Time, and there is Karl on the outside. A methodic move to the front, 55-2, 28-1. Karl takes the lead with authority as they hit the far turn. Dame Good Time now trotting in second. It's Security protected on the inside third. Tony Adams is fourth. Edging out is 6 Sour from fifth. Amazing Catch needs to get going sixth. Then comes Life on the Bluff. A late move from Mars Hill from the back of the pack. At 3/4, Karl in front there. Dame Good Time on the inside second. Here comes Tony Adams on the outside third. 1:23 for 3/4. They're into the stretch drive. And it's Karl. Karl and Tony Adams on the outside means business. Åke Svanstedt urging on Tony Adams on the outside. Karl on the inside can't trot with him. Tony Adams takes the lead. 6 Sour on the outside closing in and Dame Good Time between horses. Tony Adams. 6 Sour up in time. Then Tony Adams, then Karl, then Dame Good Time in 150 flat.
6 Sour, the two, pulling off the major upset in here. Congratulations, of course, to the Connections. But Paul, the big story, the defeat of Karl, who made an early move to take the lead before getting run down by both the one Tony Adams and the eventual winner, the 2, 6 Sour.
At the beginning of this race, Karl got roughed up. He was 6 wide around the first turn. Never really got that absolute tuck either on the backstretch. He was kind of a little bit in, but mostly out. And then finally, Yannick said, all right, we're going to go down the backside. And I mean, it was 55-2, 20-2, I believe, second quarter. Man, at the end of the day, I mean, he just didn't have that punch when they came into the lane. But listen, take nothing away from your winner. I mean, this horse was a Sire Stakes champion from last season. And I know it was a nondescript 5th last time out, but that race definitely tightened him up and got the same trip basically as last time, but from a better post, and got the job done in here.
6 Sour with the win. There he is. Gabe, a monster upset to start off our show.
No question about that, guys. And as I say, this is why we race them and not race them on paper, because Karl had soundly defeated Tony Adams there several times. Tony Adams came first up there, did a lot of the heavy lifting, actually got by and made Karl submit. Now, as Paul said, Karl was used pretty hard there, but still, if he was a type of trotter, I think that we all think that he is. Maybe something just a miss tonight because Tony Adams was able to gut him down. How about the winner, though, guys? 6 Sour, 65 to 1 on the tote board. That's the second longest shot on the board. This is a talented colt now. He was started his career 4 for 4 last year as a 2-year-old. He was going to be 5 for 5, guys, but he made a break in stride in his final 2-year-old start at the top of the stretch. That cost him the win, of course. So he made his first start back as a 3-year-old here on June the 29th, and he was just a little short. He was even there. He was beating a few lengths, so sort of the jury's was still out, and boy, was it ever out here. 65 to 1. 6 Sour gets back on track, and we'll wait for reaction a bit later on what was amiss with Karl.
We look forward to hearing that, Gabe. Thank you. As 6 Sour, you heard that, 65 to 1. A horse that had some ability and was able to get back on track in a big way, taking down your 1-9 favorite in Division 1 of the Stanley Dancer Memorial. When we come back, we'll get a chance to learn a little bit more about the powerful story of Warrior Ranch Farm. Horses, you better believe they have healing properties. More on that after this.
My grandfather instilled in me that there's no such thing as luck. He said luck is where hard work meets opportunity.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
We've had a wonderful breeding program here for years.
Pennsylvania has an excellent program. The proof of that is Harrisburg in November. That's a major event for Pennsylvania. We bring in some 6,000 individuals from all over the world. They want to buy Pennsylvania breds.
This is where the top stallions are. A lot of the top mares are here, and between the 3 major tracks here in Pennsylvania, it's perfect.
Pennsylvania has always been at the forefront, and we want to keep it there.
Monmouth Park's main event is Naira Bets Haskell Day, Saturday, July 20th. Watch and wager as the country's top 3-year-olds converge on the Jersey Shore to enhance their championship credentials. Play our $500,000 guaranteed late pick 4 and $300,000 late pick 5 on a card that includes 6 stakes. First post 12 noon. It's all Naira Bets Haskell Day, Saturday, July 20th at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
Our program is brought to you by the Standardbred Breeders Association of Pennsylvania. You're watching America's Day at the Races as we just saw Division 1 of the Stanley Dancer Memorial live at the Meadowlands, and it was a huge upset, 65-1 with Sig Sauer taking down the early Hambletonian favorite, Karl, who was a disappointing third.
Yeah, Noel Daly now got a horse that's in the discussion. I mean, this horse showed that be there with the heavy hitters at the end of the day and really did get a nice trip and made that last run on Tony Adams, who has now had back-to-back really good starts.
Sig Sauer with the victory, had a very good 2023, and as we heard Gabe talk about, likely could have been undefeated in that year, and took him a little bit of time maybe to get back on track, but he was able to do so in a big way this evening.
Yeah, I just think the trip didn't really work out for him in that first start off the qualifiers in the Reynolds, but I did say I thought this horse was going to be tighter, but listen, if you really like this horse, look at that place price on that horse. So you got paid handsomely if you like this horse tonight.
Absolutely, $138. How about Tony Adams checking in second, by the way? He finished second in the Reynolds last time out, behind TCI, who's going to be the favorite coming up a little bit later in the second division of this Stanley Dancer. Does that kind of flatter TCI for later on?
It does, and you know, it's back-to-back good starts for Tony Adams. That Ake Svanstedt guy, he knows something about the trotters, but when you look at it, as I said, it makes Division 2 a little bit tougher and a little bit more interesting now.
And Sig Sauer fifth in that Reynolds behind TCI, and Tony Adams gets the victory today with driver Andrew McCarthy. He's standing by with Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. Sig Sauer upsets here in the first division for those 3-year-old Colt and Gelding trotters. You gunned down Karl.
Yeah, how about that? You know, that was a little unexpected. You know, Karl's been terrific all year, but you know what? I scored Sig Sauer down tonight a little bit, and he felt totally different. Noel's just done an unbelievable job bringing this horse along this year. You know, he was a little bit of a headache early, to be honest with you. He was quite studdy and didn't really want to agree with what we wanted him to do. So Noel's just done an unbelievable job just getting him to calm down and bringing him along and turning him back into a racehorse again.
You know, he was 4 for 4 to start his season last year, made a break in that final start of his 2-year-old season with a couple of qualifiers under his belt. You know, how has he come back into his 3-year-old season?
Slow and steady. You know, I've been very happy with every time he's been stepped foot on the track. You know, he's just gotten better and better and better, and then he made a few changes again tonight, and looks like it worked, huh?
Nice job, Andy.
Thanks, Jess.
Sig Sauer upsets there in race number 6. Back to you guys.
We'll see if that trend continues later on throughout the evening. Jessica, thank you. Sig Sauer, $138 winner of the first division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial. We'll see what the future holds for him. Turning the page, though, we have the 7th coming up. It's the Dorothy Haughton Memorial, and taking a look at the group here lining up for this 1-mile condition, and it is the number 2 Twin B Joe Fresh, who's 6-5 currently.
Yeah, having a great 2024. I mean, Betsy Ross, Roses of Red, Perfect Sting. all of those horses, the first 3 horses on the inside, they're going to throw down tonight. I think it's going to be a good rendition of this race.
We'll get a chance to see if Sylvia Hanover can get out of second gear as well. More on that Dorothy Haughton Memorial in a moment. But first, we often discuss the impact that horses have on their connections while on the racetrack, but sometimes it's after their racing days that they can really leave the biggest mark, as we get a chance to take a look into Warrior Ranch, which showcases the healing abilities that horses can have and the way that they're able to connect, in particular, with troubled veterans.
Warrior Ranch Foundation began out of love of country and love of horses. Horses are very healing. They feel everything that you feel, and they mirror your emotions. So you have to be 100% in the moment when you're with a horse.
We want that connection for a veteran who's isolated or suffering from whatever symptoms you may be suffering from. Isolation is one of the first things we do. It's one of the most detrimental things. And once that human-horse connection is bonded, it also helps them to build a larger community.
I met Paul Martinez about 4 years ago. He asked me if I would be interested in helping him with a driving program. So I said, sure, I'd be happy to. I can't say no to veterans. I sent them to the Standardbred Retirement Foundation, had them pick out a horse. Standardbred Retirement Foundation had 400 retired horses. And what did they come home with? But a horse too big to fit in my equipment, all beat up, scarred up, and with one eye. He turned out to be the best possible thing. These vets have all bonded with him. I think they relate to him. He's kind of an old warrior like they are.
You know, if you're sitting in a saddle, you're by yourself. And that's not a good place for a veteran to be. But if you're driving with Robbie at Warrior Ranch, you're sitting next to your buddy, just like you're sitting next to your buddy in a truck, you know, or a Humvee, just like back in the day.
The first time I rode with Sully, it was the most calming experience, and I credit him for restoring my tranquility. What happens is there's a natural connection where the veterans share their stories with each other. I found that to be very, very powerful.
It's given me a family and a community that I'm a part of, and I know no matter what, that's always in my back pocket. If I've got a problem, I'm gonna call someone from Warrior Ranch, or I might call Warrior Ranch directly, and I've got a team of people that are gonna help me out and support me.
We thought this was an excellent opportunity for the #1 harness track in the world to show our support for the veterans, because these veterans have put their lives on the line for us. Every single one of them should be treated fantastic when they come back home. As I told Robbie tonight and those guys standing down there, this country loves you and we appreciate them for everything that they do.
You don't realize how much you touch lives. We are saving lives.
They saved my life. It's the least I can do.
If we're helping one veteran help adapt to society, I think the better question is, why wouldn't you do it?
It was Eileen's dream. We made it be a live dream.
And Warrior Ranch, just such amazing work. For more information and to donate, visit warriorranchfoundation.org. Paul, I absolutely love those stories because for those of us that are around horses every day, it's no surprise. But I think many people don't realize just how incredible these animals can be for any variety of individuals that has a need.
A healing power like none other. No matter what kind of day you're having, you can walk into the barn and a horse just blows that away. It's like they know. Like you walk past the stall and it's like, you ever see that meme where they just blow the puff and it's like the bad dream that's over your head just goes away? That's what happens a lot of times with these horses, and they do great work there. And anything that helps our veterans, anything that helps anybody with any kind of mental problems, any kind of anguish, if we can do better with that, then I'm glad that we do, and I'm glad that they do, because they do excellent work.
Be sure to check out Warrior Ranch for more information or how to donate. We love having the opportunity to highlight some of the wonderful things that these horses can do, and a second chance for horses off the track as well. Well, there is your current favorite Twin Bee Joe Fresh, ready and waiting for the Dorothy Haughton Memorial coming up, the 7th race, a 1-mile pace. That's what's on the other side of this break. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
Whether you maintain a food plot on the weekends, tend to a small herd of livestock, or work in professional landscaping, New Holland's family of Workmaster and Boomer compact tractors at Clinton Tractor can get the job done. Known for delivering outstanding value for their performance, these reliable, powerful, and easy to operate New Holland compact tractors will help you tackle your to-do list while being easy on your wallet.
We are the leader in service, Clinton Tractor.
ClintonTractor.net.
Just minutes from downtown Saratoga Springs, you'll find GMP Farm, a revolutionary state-of-the-art equine therapy and rehabilitation facility offering the most advanced equipment and knowledgeable staff to care for your equine athlete. From oxygen therapy and laser treatments to thermal imaging, dry stall room, and cryotherapy treatment, all alongside a 7/8 mile Tapeta training track. GMP Farm is revolutionizing equine care. To see a full list of services and book your horse's rejuvenation session, visit gmpfarm.net today.
We're back on America's Day at the races. Thanks for sticking with us with live coverage. Some harness racing this evening from the Meadowlands. It's Meadowlands Pace night. But first up, we have the Dorothy Haughton Memorial. Up next, Twin Bee Joe Fresh, the heavy favorite for this 1 mile pace. And we will get a chance to see this mare rematch with Sylvia Hanover, a horse Sylvia Hanover who's done a lot of good running, but lately just kind of been stuck in second gear.
I think a lot of it with Sylvia Hanover is more circumstance, the way the races have turned out. And even when you look at last time out in the Perfect Sting, I mean, ended up, you know, towing Twin Bee Joe Fresh into the race, and then they threw down in the stretch. And I mean, you know, here in this race, trying to chase Twin Bee Joe Fresh down, you know, so I think she's been a victim of just some trips in some of her races. She's really good. I mean, she was 2023's Canada Horse of the Year. So I take nothing away from her, and she can win and do it from anywhere. She's just got to get lucky and finally get a trip and be able to see it out. She ran very well, though, last time out.
There is Twin Bee Joe Fresh. She's 4 for 5 in 2024. Is 4-year-old mare who is in really excellent form right now, adding that Perfect Sting, as you mentioned, the win last time out. If you're maybe a Thoroughbred fan and you're watching with us tonight, no, it's not that Perfect Sting.
Yes. No, it's not. I mean, you know, if you want to have it named for it, you can. You know, it's 2024, do you? But in this case, for real, it is not. It's not the same
Kind of
Perfect Sting.
funny, too, when you see some names crossover in the two different sports, yeah.
Yeah, two different divisions, two different sports. And then people wonder, too, because they'll ask you, is it for that horse? No, it's something completely different.
4 to 5 on Twin Bee Joe Fresh. Again, we'll rematch with Sylvia Hanover. Sylvia Hanover, that 2023 Canada Horse of the Year. She is 4 for 5 this year as well, but that's 4 seconds out of her 5 starts.
Yeah, but make no mistake about it, she's really good. She's going to see one of these through. It might be tonight.
3-1 on Sylvia Hanover. What about that mare, the #1 Grace Hill, a horse who really seems like she's gotten back on track lately?
She's back. If you watched last week with us, she ran a bang-up mile, and she clicked some time off the clock doing it. And I've got to tell you, when you look at her, she took over last week on a give and go. And, she showed her class by staying clear in the lane of Beach Cowgirl. Now, listen, last week, Speed played well at the Meadowlands. You want it to be a little bit closer in a lot of the races. But from a horse standpoint, she's coming around now again. She's stopping the clock near that 149 mark. She's going to be tough in here tonight with the rail post. And, out of those 3 horses, the 1, 2, and 3, she's going to be the better price. But make no mistake about it, she's on their level. She can win.
A horse who certainly has the ability. I think you bring up a really good point about how the track was playing at the Meadowlands last week. But she's a generous price right now at 13-1.
Yeah, I'll take 13-1 on her for sure.
There's your favorite, Twin Bee Joe Fresh.
Won a bunch of stakes this year, and she's a horse that lets her racing do the talking.
Can Sylvia Hanover get a win this year?
What's good about her, she could do it from anywhere, and she's more than capable of winning here.
Now we have a few price horses. Here's the 4 Silver Label,
Yeah,
third behind the top 2.
She couldn't defend that Perfect Sting title last time out, but she could be tough on her best night.
There is Always Be Naughty, nice qualifier victory.
Yeah, hasn't been worse than third in 2024, but she's run behind some of the bigger names in here.
Here is Strong Poison, has some early gears.
Yeah, she's got natural good early speed. She should be forward.
Big price on the 7 Zanata.
Been chasing horses like Strong Poison and Twin Bee Joe Fresh around, but hasn't found that much of a solution for them yet.
For your Game of Thrones fans, Valardo Harris.
Yeah, 0 for 5 this year has been big prices in several, and it's probably going to be big here again tonight.
And Beach Cowgirl, second to Grace Hill.
You know what? That was a good effort. I think with post 9, they're probably going to try and use her to get a good spot. But keep in mind, again, speed was good last week. So, again, keep an eye on that. She's got a wide post tonight. She's a big price.
Well, there is Grace Hill. And, Paul, I understand this is going to be your top pick tonight. You're getting a nice price of 12-1 now on her.
I just feel from a racing standpoint, when you look at her 2 races when she ran in the Roses or Red, I just thought they were disastrous starts. She had a couple of trips in there. She was big prices. When she got over to Scioto, they dropped and popped her. She ran well. She ran big in that start. She stopped it in 149 and 4. But when she came back last week, she was in a field that had some droppers in there, but they were horses that could run well, and I thought on the give and go she ran well. I thought she stopped the clock well. I know speed was okay, but from a physical standpoint, she looked good. She looked like the Grace Hill of old. So I think with that rail post tonight and putting her up against the 1, 2, and 3, I'm fans of all of them. I want to see them throw down and mix it up. But I'm going to take a shot in here with Grace Hill at a big number.
There she is, looking fresh out on the track, Grace Hill, Paul's top selection. But as we check in with Gabe and Jessica, guys, that you have a heavy favorite on the board. Can she keep the momentum going?
I believe so, Gabe, but we just heard them talking about Grace Hill. You use that one in your gimmick. She's coming off of a very solid confidence-boosting win right here at the Big M. How much more is she going to have to be able to put forth tonight to get the job done?
She's going to have to go a lot more, in my opinion, Jess. It just was a different class of race last week, and she looked good. Paul could be right. Maybe this is the Grace Hill of old. Keep in mind, she went off the favorite in this race last year. She was 2-1. She ended up as the runner-up in this race. Last year, she was 10 of 15. She made almost $600,000. I'm just not quite convinced it's the same Grace Hill just yet. So, inside post, she'll probably be aggressively handled, but I think she's going to have to step her game up. But she is a good price. I admire the courage pick there. She's double digits.
Twin Bee Joe Fresh is looking to make it about 4 or 5 in a row now. Betsy Ross winner, Roses Are Red elimination and final winner. She came back in the Perfect Sting and was a winner there. I will say, though, Sylvia Hanover took a really nice step in the right direction last time out in against Twin Bee.
Yeah, and I think the public's overreacting just a little bit to this price. We see 4-5 right now on Twin Bee Joe Fresh. We see 3-1 on Sylvia Hanover. I just don't think there should be that big of a discrepancy. Twin Bee Joe Fresh actually got the better trip of the 2 last week. She got to follow Sylvia Hanover. She got to follow that live cover. She tipped off late and got by her. I don't think there's a whole lot separating these two. In fact, Jess, they've raced against each other 7 times in their careers. They've got quite the rivalry. Speaking of the 2 Twin Bee Joe Fresh, the 3 Sylvia Hanover. Twin Bee Joe Fresh has won the last 2. But overall, the series stands Sylvia Hanover 4, Twin Bee Joe Fresh 3. So we'll see if Twin Bee Joe Fresh can even it up here tonight in their 8th matchup.
You know, both of these being 4-year-old mares taking on the older, and I said this last week, I thought that was a really good step in the right direction for Sylvia Hanover. She just might be the kind of mare who needs a few starts under her belt to really get her into that race shape.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that in the past. You know, she continues to race very, very well. I mean, she's had 5 consecutive losses, in fact, but none by more than a length and a half.
Right.
So Sylvia Hanover, even in defeat, you know, she is right there. She was beaten in neck last time out. Again, she does have that overall lead in the series with those 7 matchups over Twin Bee Joe Fresh. And I know Bob McClure tonight is going to be quite the chess match, Jess, because what he would like to do, if it's possible, is follow the 2 Twin Bee Joe Fresh every step of this race. That's going to be the live horse that's going to take you where you need to be. And then she'd like to maybe get out late and get the job done. So it's going to be quite the chess match in my mind off the wings.
You know, a horse coming out of that same race is Silver Label. She had a lot of pace coming up the inside. I really believe that Twin Bee Joe Fresh and Sylvia Hanover just going to have that momentum going. Silver Label was an upset winner in the Perfect Sting last season, and she's coming into the race, I think, you know, maybe underlooked at and sharp.
Yeah, and she's going to have to be one that has proven that she's back as her old self as well. She made almost $500,000 last year. You know, this year not quite so good, 57 grand so far. We know she's got talent. She's been knocking on the door. And keep in mind, Jess, this race is no stranger to upsets. Last year, Michaela rolled by to pull off a major upset on this exact same night at 41-1.
All right, it's going to be a great chess match once again between Twin Bee Joe Fresh and Sylvia Hanover. Back to Acacia and Paul.
I think Gabe said it best. Maybe look out for some upsets. We already saw a 65-1 shot in the 6th race. Anything can happen here.
That's why we run the races, right? I mean, I apologize to all the connections of Karl, my 135-pound frame, all that pressure I put on him. But when you look at a horse like Twin Bee Joe Fresh that we're looking at on the screen, I mean, when you look at her from a physical standpoint, and she just carries herself well when she's out there. And she's a horse that, we say it all the time sometimes with thoroughbreds too, they let their racing do the talking, and she's that type of horse. You watch her run and you see her strides, and you see how just powerful she is. And she's got nice natural speed to her. She can survey the action from anywhere. You can put her anywhere. She's pretty handy. So tonight, it'll be interesting to see where she's going to launch off of, and the matchup with Sylvia Hanover and Grace Hill. And you can see the numbers are starting to even out, as Gabe said, between the 2 and the 3, as Sylvia Hanover takes a little bit more money and drops down to 5-2.
The 5 Always Be Naughty is a horse that's kind of been behind the 2 big ones, but is she one that's maybe starting to trend in the right direction, kind of knocking on the door?
She could take a second or 2 off of her times. We've seen her run some good times, you know, 149-3, 148-3, even running 3rd in that spot. Can never go wrong with a Nancy Tactor horse. And hasn't missed the board. It's been no worse than 3rd in 2024. Just has to kind of catch up a little bit with Twin Bee Joe Fresh. And sometimes you have to have a little racing luck, too. So you never know what's going to happen out there. One wrong step, one wrong cover, it puts this horse right back into the race.
Racing luck, such a big piece of it as well. Even some of the champion horses in training get beat, honestly, just because of a poor trip. Just a reminder, you can bet all of the action with Naira Bets. Sign up, get started. And we can have a $250 deposit match bonus when you use promo code SPA250. So be sure to take advantage of that. Get signed up today at nairabets.com or download the app, as there's a look at the number 6, Strong Poison, one who has plenty of early speed. Where do you see her positioned along with the likes of Grace Hill, who has some early speed and a horse I know you like?
I would think we might see Strong Poison just go hard from that post and see what goes on inside. Grace Hill's definitely going to be used from the inside. Might be another type of trip like last week. Get that pole position, secure that inside, maybe have to do a little give and go to get to the top, and then see where it shakes out with the 2 and the 3 as well.
There's Paul's top selection, the 1 Grace Hill, as she's still a nice price, sitting up there at 10-1. Like you said, pole position. I've become a big Formula One fan lately with the Drive to Survive, and yeah, so following along. So I loved the pole position.
Okay, so you were like a Max Verstappen.
My husband loves Verstappen.
Okay, yeah, yes. He just wins everything.
I
anyway.
like George Russell.
Okay, he won 2 recently,
yes,
didn't he? Yes, he did a couple of races ago. I'm a NASCAR guy, but I also do the F1 and stuff like that in Indy.
All right, well, we'll see how it shakes out with the Dorothy Haughton Memorial coming up next. We'll send it up to Ken Workington for the call.
Dorothy Haughton Memorial FanDuel Mares Open, sponsored by David and Mary Ellen McDuffie. At 4-5, the 2, Twinbee Joe Fresh on a 4-race winning streak. At 2-1, the 3, Sylvia Hanover. On gate, 7th race. Here they come. The Rob Always Be Naughty goes off stride, and Strong Poisons quickly. Grace Hill showing speed on the inside with Twinbee Joe Fresh. Sylvia Hanover just floated away in 4th position with Silver Label 5th. And she's looking to tuck in front of Always Be Naughty, back pacing. And then to the outside comes Zanata. And then Velardo, Harrison Beach Cowgirl is the trailer. And it's Grace Hill shooting for 3 straight here with Todd McCarthy. Going after her now, Twinbee Joe Fresh, the big 2-5 favorite with Dexter Dunn off a quarter. A crisp 27 flat. Twinbee Joe Fresh strides up here, takes the lead from Grace Hill. And going after them now is Sylvia Hanover and Bob McClure, applying immediate pressure. So it's Strong Poison already back to 4th on the inside. Silver Label is 5th. And then it's Always Be Naughty on the inside, 6th, followed by Zanata. 2 more to Velardo, Harrison, and 4, and they hook up on the front end now. Sylvia Hanover reaches up, half-length lead. Twinbee Joe Fresh on the inside, counters and quickens. Silver Label off those dueling leaders, 3rd on the outside, in with a threat now. Grace Hill back to 4th on the inside as they continue towards 3/4 in battle. Always Be Naughty is 5th on the outside. Strong Poison, no racing room on the inside, 6th. Zanata to the outside, 7th off the speed. Sylvia Hanover on the outside. Twinbee Joe Fresh on the inside. They're trading blows in 1:21 and 1 into the stretch drive. And it's still Twinbee Joe Fresh. Gave the cold shoulder to Sylvia Hanover. Here is a fresh Silver Label on the outside with her stretch offering. Twinbee Joe Fresh in front. Silver Label surging late on the outside, but it will be Twinbee Joe Fresh, then Silver Label, Sylvia Hanover, and Grace Hill in 1:47 and 3.
A nice final time there for Twinbee Joe Fresh, who's now 5 for 6 this year and picks up another victory in the Dorothy Haughton Memorial.
And took a ton of heat when Bob McClure knew had to put Sylvia Hanover early in play tonight to make sure that they stuck with Twinbee Joe Fresh, because that was probably the best way of trying to go after her tonight. And boy, I mean, Dexter Dunn just shook off that pressure and held on over a nice run late from Silver Label up for 2nd. And, you know, Silver Label last time had a little bit of racing trip luck, but this time ran a good race. But make no mistake about it, Twinbee Joe Fresh, good horse, good trip, and fought off the pressure and really ran well.
We did see the number 5, Always Be Naughty.
Celebration time.
Winning owners heading out, as we did see the number 5, Always Be Naughty, go off stride at the beginning there, as there is your winner, the 2, Twinbee Joe Fresh. Gabe, she was kind of the last lady standing, took pressure throughout and finished with a flurry.
Yeah, guys, we knew at some point that those 2 favorites were going to drop the gloves. It happened much earlier than probably most of us anticipated, because that was an aggressive move to the top. It was quite the chess match we talked about going in. Dexter wanted to get onto the lead, because what was going to happen if he did so, he forces Sylvia Hanover to be in a bad spot. That's first up. That's uncovered. That's on the outside. So she's doing quite a bit more work than Twinbee Joe Fresh, who had that inside advantage. So Dexter, at the end of the day, had Sylvia Hanover right where he wanted her. Guys, I'd say if we got a chance to talk to driver Bob McClure, the 3 Sylvia Hanover, if he had it to do over, maybe he wishes he had sat a little bit conserved there until the later stages of the mile, because Dexter was in no mood to turn him loose there to the lead when he made that aggressive rush to the top. So Twinbee Joe Fresh gets it done. A huge mile. She's just 3/5 of a second off the track record for a 4-year-old mare tonight, 1:47 and 3. She evens the score now with her rival Sylvia Hanover, now 4 apiece, as we look forward to continuing to see those 2 battle down the road. And how about this, guys? Dexter Dunn, not only the driver, you don't see this too often, he's the co-owner here of Twinbee Joe Fresh, who banks a big win. So this one for the home team as Dexter returns trackside.
Pretty cool stuff there, Gabe. Thank you. Dexter Dunn, winning driver and co-owner, gives a pat to Twin B Joe Fresh. I'm sure that makes it even twice as sweet.
Yeah, and you know what? He can blame himself when it's all over, too, so he doesn't have to worry about answering to himself. But no, she's something special, and as I said earlier, you can see it when she runs how powerful she is, that she turned away a horse like Sylvia Hanover and still had enough to hold and take another stakes race in almost a track record time.
And she's still sharp. She looks like she wants to go around again. Twin B Joe Fresh with the victory. The Dorothy Haughton Memorial Prizes and more when we come back. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Join us at Saratoga Racecourse for the 4th annual New York Thoroughbred Aftercare Day. This special live race day celebrates retired racehorses and fun for the whole family. Free with paid admission on Thursday, August 15th.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Be here with all these amazing people. It's really very, very inspiring.
I'm just so humbled and so proud to be here.
Everybody deserves to win. I mean, it's a big honor.
So to have an evening like this to dedicate for those people that are the superstars is so cool.
Getting recognized for your hard work is always appreciated, but the TIAA took that to the next level. It was an amazing experience.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, live coverage from the Meadowlands. Ooh, it's starting to get dark there. Our program brought to you by the Standardbred Breeders Association of Pennsylvania. Don't worry, there's still plenty more bright lights to come with some exciting races. As talk about exciting, there goes Twin B Joe Fresh into the winner's circle after taking the Dorothy Haughton Memorial, a mare who's just in terrific form right now.
Bring up another stakes for her, and one of the things that we talked about earlier on about having those rivalries and seeing that and drawing people into watching this, her and Sylvia Hanover, 8 battles now. Each one of them have come out on top 4 times. So the 9th rubber match will be coming up soon with them. But it's fun when you get to see that and you get to see them knock heads and actually be able to compete against each other and not just have one wipe out the other.
No, absolutely love that. I agree. Twin B Joe Fresh, though, she's the one that's been getting the job done more often than not lately. Sylvia Hanover having to settle for 3rd today with Big Prize Silver Label checking in 2nd. But Dexter Dunn winning driver and winning co-owner as well, standing by with Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. Twin B Joe Fresh, new lifetime mark. She sustained a lot of pressure tonight.
Yeah, she's obviously been in great form, Jess, and, you know, CJ and Pete and Barb had her ready to go. So, you know, it was a tough mile from her, but she put in an amazing performance.
Definitely strong down the stretch, fighting off a couple of horses, and Sylvia Hanover, Silver Label, and a couple of others flying late. She's just tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, she's racing against a great group of mares, so nothing comes easy, and she really had to dig deep late in the stretch there to hold them off. But all credit to her. She did all the work and just put an amazing mile in.
Just want to ask you about winner's bet. A back tier tonight, added distance, no Lasix. How are you coming into that race?
Obviously, we're going to need luck early, Jess. I don't know where we're going to end up. You know, it can be hard from the inside of that mile and 1/8 here, so that's going to be tricky. But he's in great form. You know, I wouldn't rather want to be on any other horse in the field, so hopefully we can work a path out.
Nice job and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, Jess.
Twin B Joe Fresh, new lifetime mark in the Dorothy Haughton 147-3. Acacia.
Strong time there, just a little bit off the record. Twin B Joe Fresh with another victory. A nice performance there. We see a big price upset, and then we just see a favorite deliver. See what the rest of the evening has in store.
Yeah, the stars are out. Some have performed well. Others took a misstep. Still got a lot more action to go tonight. And that's what it's all about. You love to see these cards, these stakes-loaded cards, and you love to see all the stars come out and play for the big money. And when they hook up, you know you're going to get good battles, and so far we've seen them.
Well, we have the second division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial coming up. We talked a little bit at the beginning of the show about Karl in the first division, then the second division, which is a little bit more wide open. TCI 2-1 right now, but it's even money on Highland Kismet right now. Are you a little bit surprised looking at the tote board?
Not really. I think it's going to even out at the end of the day. But Highland Kismet, you know, his good times put him on the map with that final time, you know, of 151-3. So he's looking to crash the party. He's the dark horse. He's going to be the now horse maybe after this race, especially because people are going to wonder what happened with Karl. And even the best, they take a misstep every now and again on their road to glory and their road to winning big races. But TCI, Highland Kismet, they could make some noise tonight and put themselves in the discussion being on par with Karl and at the top.
Absolutely. There's a lot still to come as far as that Hambletonian division is concerned. But coming up a little bit later in the Meadowlands Pace, all eyes will be on Nijinsky. There he is live warming up. He is #1 in the Standardbred Weekly poll. He has just been absolutely sensational lately, Paul, and he will be a heavy favorite in that Meadowlands Pace.
Yeah, and he looks good right now. Score it down, just giving him a little jog out there to get himself ready for later on
He looks
tonight.
strong.
Yeah, he is. He's a strong dude. And, you know, when you look at him as a whole, everybody just goes back to the way he was as a 2-year-old. And all of a sudden, the light bulb clicked. He grew up. And now he's out there and he's running well. And, you know, when you looked at his elimination race, people might say that took a little starch out of him because that elimination race was crazy out of the two that we saw. And he took a lot of heat and a hot pace. So, but, you know, the way he's warming up right now, I think he looks good. He's well within himself, and I think he's ready for a big effort tonight.
And for those who may not be as familiar with watching Standardbreds and the way that they warm up and the time frame in which they warm up, so he's going to be racing in the 11th a little bit later on in the Meadowlands Pace, having the opportunity to go out now and warm up. Talk a little bit about that and what the procedure is like in preparations for the evening's race.
So what you will see at all the venues is very beginning, even before the races, horses from the first race, they'll come out, the second race, they'll score down. And as races finish, horses that are in races later on down the line, about an hour or two away, will come out and also do a couple of laps, a little jogging around, get some work into them, warm them up a little bit, and then they will go right back into the paddock. And they will wait until it's time for their race and come on out. So this is standard. This is nothing to just say, oh, wow, they're running now. Like, why are they doing this? Are they going to be okay to run later on? This is standard for them. You'll see them come out about, I guess, maybe about an hour and a half or so, hour and 40 minutes before their races. They'll score down. You'll know who they are because if you're at the track or watching it, you'll see the saddle cloth that'll have 2 numbers on it. So it'll have, in his case, 11 at the top, meaning he's in race 11, and then the number, which is number 3, which he is in the race.
Great insight there, and fun to get a chance to see Nijinsky warming up in preparation for that Meadowlands Pace a little bit later on. But in this upcoming 8th race with the second division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial, Paul, I understand you're going to give us a little late pick 4 that's kicking off here.
Yeah, we're going to give this a shot in here. Leg 1, I'm going to go with TCI. He's the obvious horse in the race. Highland Kismet, we talked about. He's the now horse looking to crash the party. Situationship's a horse that I added. He's going to be a price in here. Right now, he's 3rd choice, though. He's getting better as the races go on. He should be a little bit forward in here. When you look at race number 9 for me, I have one philosophy in here, and I'm throwing out the 11, who's probably going to be the favorite in winner's bet, starting from a 2nd tier, and is not going to have the benefit of Lasix, which we'll talk about a little bit later on as we get to the race. But I'm going to use 4 horses in there. I'm going to use the 2 in there, the 4, the 7, and the 12, but my top choice being the 12 on the far outside. French Wine has the speed to be forward, even from that 2nd tier position, has run big before when the big money's on the line and when it counts. Race number 10, 4 deep here again. You know, when I looked at this race, I wasn't sure which direction that I wanted to go in. And at the end of the day, I ended up settling on using 4 in here. For me, Charlie May. We talked about Charlie May, used him last year. He's my top pick to 2. Last year he won it, paid $64. This year I don't think he's going to pay $64, but he draws a sweet inside post. He shows up when things are going well. 4, 5, and 8 for me in there as well. And in the Meadowlands Pace, which I wanted to talk about more than any other race, just going too deep in here, I'm going to use the 3 Nijinsky for all the reasons that we talked about in here. But my sneaky horse in here is the number 9, Captain's Quarters. I feel like they didn't use much of him last week. Driver Jody Jamieson said it's easier to get into the Meadowlands Pace because you only have to run in the top 5. They didn't use him all that hard. And we'll see tonight. I think he's got a big effort in there. Gabe, I know a lot of times we agree on the pick 4. We always root for each other, but can we hit it tonight together?
Well, that's a good question, Paul. It's a sequence. You know, usually I like to try to narrow up an attack a little more, but you know, I just had this as so competitive through this sequence tonight. You've got so many wide open races. Not to mention the Meadowlands Pace, which, of course, will close it out. But this Stanley Dancer, that's where I'm going to do all my game. Look at the first leg here. The 1 Caballero, that's my long shot play of the night. I like him quite a bit. You know, TCI and Highland Kismet, they're going to be the 2 favorites here. But, you know, I'm just going to take a little bit of a swing against those 2. Highland Kismet's first stateside start. TCI's coming off a break. I thought Situationship was an interesting horse here for Okas Fonstedt. He's really started to come into his own this year, 2 of 3 so far with a second. Hambletonian maturity, guys, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm 4, 5, 7, and 10 there. You see Best Friend Volo's off a great qualifier. Hasty Bid's got good speed there from post 5. Special Way, she's a mare and against mostly male rivals there, but mares have won 4 out of the 10 editions of that race. I'm going to use her. In my long shot, there's a 10 Chapper Craze. With those 2 in the second tier, I think Yannick Gingras is going to be very aggressive from post 10 tonight. He's going to be a huge price. We'll toss him in the business. I'm 40 there in the William Howden. As you said, Paul, Charlie May is not going to be 31-1 this year. We'll still include him in our business. Vuka Fathas, really a horse for the course here at the Meadowlands. A buck bet Hanover. Same ownership there, guys, as Fun Time by Ama in the Meadowlands Pace there in race 11. He's coming off a good win in the Brower Memorial. And it's my show, the Little Brown Jug winner from last year. I'll toss him in as well. And, guys, if we're still dancing, I suppose I'm just going to use the 3 logicals there in the Meadowlands Pace to close it out. We'll use Fun Time by Ama and Nijinsky, who come off that epic duel from last week. But my concern is they were taxed a lot just 1 week ago. Will they fire back with the same shot tonight? I thought the horse who raced extremely well last out was Legendary Hanover, and I'm going to use him there on the ticket there from post 6. I thought when the dust settled, maybe the war was over, he would be the horse picking up the pieces late. I think he finishes loaded in that one. I think he's the horse to watch, and I think he'll be a little overlooked. So I like him quite a bit there in the Meadowlands Pace. 2, 3, and 6 guys to close it out. It's a $48 play for me.
Gabe, thank you. $48 play for both Gabe and Paul. A little bit of overlap throughout, so wishing you both the best of luck. Well, we have the second division of the Stanley Dancer Memorial coming up next. There's TCI. Can he do it again and pick up another victory tonight? We'll talk more about his chances and the rest of the field after this on America's Day at the Races.
You have to be here to feel the rumble from 40,000 race fans. Mixed with the Pacific breeze, you have to be here to taste extravagance and witness greatness, race after race after race. You have to be here to take home a memory you'll have forever. This November, when the world's best come to Del Mar, you have to be here.
Serving others is our foundation. That's why NYRA is building a pathway for businesses, individuals, and organizations to support charitable groups connected to horse racing in New York State and beyond. The NYRA Foundation, supporting our community.
And it's Marion Marauder at the top of the stretch who leads it. Desert Runners hanging in there first over. Bar Hopping kicks off his cover on the outside. Marion Marauder is edging away. Bar Hopping on the outside, moving towards second. Iron Mine Bucky up the rail, but it's Marion Marauder, a well-rated winner for Scott Zerot.
On the outside, Marion Marauder has open road. Bar Hopping battling back. Weightlifter K angles on the inside. The Royal Harry and Southwind Frank looking for that rail and has room now, but it's Marion Marauder still in front. Southwind Frank is coming. Marion Marauder, Southwind Frank. Marion Marauder and Southwind Frank, they hit the line together. Maybe Marion Marauder.
Marion Marauder, who won the 2016 Stanley Dancer second division and then would go on to win the Hambletonian. Will we see that take place this evening?
Yeah, and you know what? This horse only cost $37,000, won over $3.3 million, was a Triple Crown winner too in 2016. Retired her, and she had retired, came back to run again as
Pretty
well.
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool story.
Very cool story. Well, we'll see if history can repeat itself. And the winner of tonight's second division, Stanley Dancer, can go on to take the Hambletonian. Here's a look at the group right now. It's still Highland Kismet, who's 3-5 on the board, a horse that's been in very good form recently. Is 5 for 6 in 2024. He and TCI will go head-to-head in this upcoming division.
Interesting when you look at the board right now. 4-5. It's a little short on a horse that we don't know about here down in the States just yet.
Here's the one, Caballero, who Gabe has some interest in.
It's interesting because this horse ran into Tony Adams on the drop and pop, and we saw Tony Adams almost win race number 6 before being cut down late. So with a rail position and improving horse, see what we get tonight.
Here is TCI beat Tony Adams in the Reynolds.
You know, I don't really hold the miscue last time against this horse because he plugged along and still finished well.
There's a number 3, Bargain.
It's not that loose pocket trip last time, just couldn't keep up with the horses late. It's been getting those kind of trips lately. Kind of gets shuffled back and lost a little bit in the running, but does have a good post tonight.
I like the name of this one, Gruesome Twosome.
Yeah, that's not us, right? We're good. We're all good up here. But it's been doing well against Illinois Sire Stakes. Been a heavy favorite in those races.
Highland Kismet, your favorite.
Yeah, the horse that apparently the board is talking. Going to try and crash this party that TCI and Karl have had all year.
Situationship 4-1 right now.
Improving horse for Ake Svanstedt. He's always dangerous with these kind of horses. I just want to see him have a really good effort tonight, put him in the mix.
And Wild Ticket, that's what your friends will say to you if you have him at 30-1 on your ticket.
You know something, when you look at this horse, though, Keisha, he didn't have the best of trips in this week, but he was also 45-1 in there. But he did win the Empire Breeder Classic 2 back. It was a split of that race. It was a second slower than the Sixes win. Who was inside of him, Situationship, who did win in there. But he'll be a price tonight from the far outside. But we've seen prices win tonight.
That's the field for the second division of the Stanley Dancer. But there's TCI, and you've mentioned it a couple of times. We're going to look at the race last time out on July 4th. What took place here for him at Vernon Downs?
He just had a little bit of a miscue at the start. And I don't know if it was maybe timing the gate or he just threw in a step. Now, to his credit, a horse can just pack it in for the day and just end up being toward the track and end up finishing last in here. But he actually was able to get back on gate and able to run, settle down at the back of the pack. You see him highlighted there. Kind of just bided his time, kind of leave him a little bit on the outside, give him a chance to kind of get his feet under him. And now you're going to see him here make this sweeping move on the outside and put in a run in here, eventually only getting beat 2 lengths in there. That is an impressive run for a horse who likes to be forward. Showed a new dimension and just how talented he is by being able to overcome that break, still be able to make the move he made, and only get beat 2 lengths in the end. And it's not like he backed up with his trot at the end. He still trotted out to the wire in there.
How much more credit do you give him, given what he overcame last time out?
You know he's talented. So good horses can overcome adversity, as we've seen before. I think it may have added a little bit of a new dimension to him if needed. But at the end of the day, he's a horse that's going to want to be forward and be closer up instead of being all the way at the back of the pack.
And even still, you're going to go against TCI?
A little bit in here tonight. I'm interested in the new shooter that's coming down
Yeah.
from Canada in the 5 Highland Kismet. And when you looked at this horse's good times race, I mean, this kind of came out of nowhere. I know that he won a division of it early and did it rather comfortably, but to do it in 1:51 and 3, that was tying the stakes record. it was also the fastest 3-year-old trotting mile in Canada for the year as well. So I'm going to give this horse a chance with a nice post. Bob McClure maybe can find the helmets come off of and pounce late. And we'll see if this horse is the goods and can make some noise down the line.
And he's taking a lot of attention at 4 to 5. Jess and Gabe, though we do have a heavy favorite, it does seem like this is the more wide open division of this Stanley Dancer.
It is the more wide open division of this Stanley Dancer. Of course, we saw Karl in the first division of the Stanley Dancer. Now we're going to see TCI and Highland Kismet meet up. Highland Kismet, of course, new on the scene, shipping south of the border from Canada. Very game winner in the Good Times final. A nice overnight win to prep him for this race. I think he's got a solid shot and against, both Karl and TCI on the road to the Hambletonian.
Yeah, we'll see. And keep in mind, this is a $135,000 race night. The ultimate goal, though, that's the first Saturday in August. That's the Hambletonian, $1 million on the line. That's the Sports Kentucky Derby. By the way, we'll be live on Fox that day for that race. Highland Kismet, it's his first start shipping south of the border. So we'll see how he does here. One note I do want to mention, Jess, Bob McClure was warming this one up very easily. He was very conservative. It looked like he wanted to keep him very quiet. That tells me that the 5 Highland Kismet is going to race off the pace tonight. With that in mind, I think it's a favorite. We'll take a swing against.
You like Caballero from the Tron Smedjhammer barn. A couple of miscues on his program line down the line a little bit there. But he's coming off a back-to-back third-place finish, most recently out of TCI and Tony Adams.
Yeah, but the deal on that one was he could not get through. Had he gotten through there, he was for sure going to be second, and I think he had a shot at TCI that night. So I am riding this train one more time. He's been an unlucky horse. Tron Smedjhammer, who's an excellent horseman. He won the Triple Crown, of course, with the likes of Winsong's Legacy, but he was driving him throughout his career. He opted to go with Tim Tidrick, one of the regular catch drivers in the circuit here nationally. I thought he raced very well with Tim last week, despite the traffic trouble. I think there's more under the hood here, Jess, and the price is right tonight, 17-1. I think he's going to take a big shot tonight from post 1.
Situationship is on the big board at 7-2. Aki Svanstedt back in the bike. Of course, he trains the son of Chapter 7. He made a little bit of a miscue behind the gate in the MGM Yonkers trot to come back on to finish second, only being a half a length behind Sir Pinocchio.
And keep in mind, he was 2 for 2 in the year coming into that start. That was a remarkable recovery, Jess, because post 7 is not easy at Yonkers to begin with. It's a half-mile track. You have to go around twice, obviously. So he attacked after that break. He just missed there. Here's the note on situationship. I said that Highland Kismet, the 5, is not warming up very aggressively. Not the deal in the 6 situationship. Oka Svanstedt was warming this horse up very, very aggressively. I think he is going to try to blast off the gate here tonight with a 6 situationship and put him in play early.
It's definitely a wide-open event in here. Will Highland Kismet make his U.S. debut, a winning one here for Bob McClure and Mark Etzel? I'm excited to see what he's got to show for us.
I am, and TCI, let's not forget him. The richest 2-year-old trotter ever, over $1.2 million last year. He's going to start from post 2. He's going to be the second choice here, it looks like, at the end of the day. But this guy has loads of talent. We'll see if he can recover off that break and stride from his most recent as he looks to take a step forward.
Ken Workington, Hall of Fame announcer, has the call for the second division of the Stanley Dancer for 3-year-old Colton Gelding trotters.
On gate, race 8. 3-year-old trotters. Here they come. Off and trotting, Highland Kismet missed the gate by about 3 or 4 lengths. Wild Ticket on the outside out fast. That's Bargain going off stride. Situationship into second. Into the first turn, TCI just floated away in third position with Caballero on the inside, fourth. Next comes Gruesome Twosome, the Indiana Invader. 3.5, 4 more. Gapping early here is Highland Kismet. Way back the early breaker is Bargain. Taking over, it's Wild Ticket at 45-1 with Dexter Dunn in a hot 26-3. Wild Ticket in front, a handful across the backstretch. Situationship now trotting in second. TCI tracking along in third. Caballero fourth on the inside. Then it's Gruesome Twosome, followed by Highland Kismet. And the distant trailer is Bargain. Trotting single file at the half. And it's the long shot Wild Ticket out of the pocket. Situationship and Oki Svanstedt. That one surges right by. 55-4 for the half. On to the far turn they go. Now it's Situationship in front. Wild Ticket on the inside second. As they track to 3/4, TCI still third on the inside. Highland Kismet gets in gear, now fourth on the outside. He's about 5 or 6 off the lead. Stride for stride with Caballero. Then as they trot past 3/4, Highland Kismet looks to get going. Gruesome Twosome is backpedaling, and they turn for home. 3/4 for Situationship. 1:24. They're into the stretch. Situationship in front by 2 lengths. TCI trying to bear down on him. Wild Ticket stride for stride with him. Caballero shaking loose late in deep stretch. And it's still Situationship who needs the line. Final move, Caballero on the outside, flying late. Situationship, then Caballero. Then TCI and Gruesome Twosome, 1:51.1.
Situationship just too much late. Incredibly game victory here in the 2nd division of the Stanley Dancer.
You know, it's funny. I'd love to know what happened to Highland Kismet, because Bob McClure handled this horse with kid gloves, and they kind of were a few steps behind the gate as well. Then he really never persevered or asked that much. So maybe Highland Kismet just did not have it tonight. But the horse who had it tonight was Situationship, who got to the top, had the give and go with the 7, took over again, and had just enough under Ake Svanstedt to hold on. You know, this is a horse who made a break, as Gabe said, in the Yonkers trot last time out from post number 7, but has been forward in races prior to that. So was able to make that top, have the give and go, and had just enough to hold on from Caballero, who was a great choice by Gabe at a big price, who was an improving horse and almost ran him down late.
Absolutely was. Yes. Tough beat for Gabe with a great call by Caballero, who looked like at one point like he might get there. It was, though, the number 6 Situationship, who was incredibly game. Mentioned him before the race as a horse who was kind of a sneaky one in here. And Gabe, it was a tough beat for your top pick, Caballero. A great call. He ran his race with Situationship incredibly game.
Yes, I was full send tonight on Caballero, 29-1, and yes, thanks, Acacia, and it's a little sick feeling here on the set. 29-1 on Caballero. Just missed. I was a full send on him tonight, but he raced well. We were on to something there. But, you know, getting those warm-ups, I saw Situationship scoring down very aggressively before that race. When you do your homework like that, you can sometimes catch a horse that you see that might be raced aggressively tonight. That was a case with Situationship. It was a good drive, good trip, and he had just enough to fend me off there in the late stages. Who knows what happened with Highland Kismet? That's the one that's, you know, I'm a little concerned about there. He missed the gate 4 or 5 lengths. I'd mentioned he was not really scoring down aggressive. Bob McClure was trying to keep him nice and quiet, but really never got into the race. So something amiss there. He ended up off at 8-5 here. The winner, oddly enough, the 3rd choice, but just 9-5.
So you had kind of the big 3 in there, Gabe, and again, a terrific call by Gabe at 29-1 on Caballero, who just missed to finish 2nd, but Situationship, as Gabe touched on, the 3rd choice, and there he is. And, you know, I thought that Gabe talked about something very interesting with the warm-ups. You know, it's the same thing I do day in, day out. You watch how a horse is prepping coming into a race, and it can also speak to the intention of the driver.
Yeah, and where they want to set up shop, too. Sometimes you want to see where all the dust settles if you have a horse that knows you're going to make the top with eventually. And other times, like in the case of Situationship here, you can kind of draw a line through the last race. He broke at the start from a tough post, still ran on well, but that's not his game either. You know, he wants to be forward, and obviously Ake trains, he knows, he drives, so he's got an idea of where this horse wants to be, and he made the most of it. I think now, after seeing these 2 races, things got a little bit murkier, because even a horse like TCI ran 3rd in there, but are you holding your hat on how he ran tonight and thinking he's going to come back with another big effort? It's kind of 2 efforts where you're kind of like, you know, I mean, he had the problem the start before, but now this time, what do you do with him?
A very wide open picture when it comes to the Hambletonian. There's going to be a lot to talk about leading up to August 3rd. Bring you prices and more when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
We've had a wonderful breeding program here for years. Pennsylvania has an excellent program. The proof of that is Harrisburg in November. That's a major event for Pennsylvania. We bring in some 6,000 individuals from all over the world. They want to buy Pennsylvania breds.
This is where the top stallions are. A lot of the top mares are here, and between the 3 major tracks here in Pennsylvania, it's perfect.
Pennsylvania has always been at the forefront, and we want to keep it there.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Adelphi Racing Club offers the unparalleled excitement of owning thoroughbred racehorses at a fraction of the cost. We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Our New York-based high-performing equine athletes, trainers, and jockeys compete and win at the highest level circuits. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference and come hang with us this Saratoga meet.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Our program brought to you by Naira Bet. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at NairaBets.com or download the app today. Well, it's a little bit of chaos when it comes to the Hambletonian picture. Another bit of an upset in the second division of the Stanley Dancer situationship. Very game, holding on, gets the victory.
Yeah, we said going in that this was the division you probably wanted to look at a little bit more. That was going to be a little bit more competitive and maybe a little bit more wide open. And as it turned out, it was at the end of the day. And Situationship's a horse who has been improving and was running well in starts against New York Sire Stakes and Empire Breeders Classic races, and just happened to throw in a clunker in the Yonkers Trot by miscuing, but made up for it tonight on the big track at a mile and showed that he stamped himself as a horse now that can be in the discussion when we talk Hambletonian.
9 to 5 returns $5.60. Gabe's top pick Caballero checking in second at 29 to 1. For more though, let's head down to Gabe in the winner's circle.
Thanks so much, Acacia. And I'm standing by with a very happy man right now. This is Mr. Jeff Grubb, of course, our chairman and CEO here at New Meadowlands Racetrack, co-owner of Situationship. Big effort tonight. Now he's 3 for 4 in the season.
Exactly. I mean, that's a real thrill when you win these, especially when the horse is about to get beat another 2 steps.
Yeah, well, he raced excellent. We won't get into that. I picked the one on air, so we won't get into that's a sore subject right now. But I'm congratulating you, obviously. Runner-up at the Yonkers Trot. Do we know what happened there when he made a break early on last week?
Yeah, what Aki said was the Scotty Z was in the horse next to him and started screaming and yelling at his horse to leave and scared Situationship, and he broke.
Wow, what was a remarkable recovery.
Yeah.
Now, I know the greatest day at the Meadowlands of the entire year, Hambletonian Day, Saturday, August 3rd. How cool is it now that you're going to have one of the favorites heading into the big dance?
That is cool. We'll see. It puts a lot of stress, I guess, you know. But last year I had one of the favorites for the Oaks, and she finished second, so I'm looking forward to it. Look, this is what it's all about, the thrill of winning, you know, but it's just great. Aki's an unbelievable trainer. I mean, anybody who doesn't recognize that he's by far the best trotting trainer in North America is blind.
He has done an excellent job of Situationship and many, many others, as we know. Jeff, talk to us about the relationship with America's Day at the Races, Naira, and Fox Sports. It's great to have him out here on some of our bigger days here at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, it's been a great relationship. I'm friendly with Mark Holliday, who's chairman of Naira, and the people at Naira have been unbelievably cooperative and really helping us. I mean, you know, you need to get the kind of exposure that Naira Bets brings to the table. I watched the Thoroughbred show today before I came here. They do such a good job. They're really professional, and it's really made a difference, you know, in getting our signal out to people. And Acacia's my favorite. Because I know I said this the last time, but she'd rather be sleeping at this time.
I was just going to ask, do you feel bad keeping her up past her bedtime again tonight?
A little.
Well, we end on a good note here, at least for now. Situationship gets it done, second division of the Stanley Dancer, Acacia. We'll send it back to you as long as you're still awake.
Big congratulations to Jeff. Thrilled to see him in the winner's circle, and he's such a wonderful guy. And as Gabe mentioned, he's going to have one of the favorites going into the Hambletonian. How cool is that?
It's very cool, and as he said, it just adds a little bit more stress to himself right now to have to be in that position. So, but it's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
By far, it's definitely a good position to be in to have that opportunity, and that's what it's all about too. Everybody looks at these races and they see owners and trainers and they think, oh, they're not worried about it. They know what they got to do. It's just as much stress to try and get them there, and then to have them stay sound enough and to run well, because we've seen it tonight. Some big names have gone down in flames, and now things are wide open. A horse-like situationship comes in, takes advantage of the situation, and now all of a sudden he's a player.
And we appreciate the kind comments from Jeff as well. And thanks for watching earlier. And we're so thankful for our partnership with the Meadowlands. And you were telling me a cool story of when you stopped by Saratoga Harness this morning.
Stopped by Saratoga Harness a little while ago and saw some of the drivers that you would see at the Meadowlands that are up there for some New York Sire Stakes action, a few of the trainers, and some of the people that tune in to America's Day at the Races to these shows, and they were very thankful for the coverage that we bring. They came right up and said, we all do such a great job, and I said, it's not only us up here, it's everybody that's in the truck, and it's a team effort, and it's really great to hear, because we do love putting a spotlight on standardbred racing, and hopefully we're doing a good job, and it seems that way so far.
Very well said. And yes, we really appreciate all of the wonderful support, too. When we come back, we'll get a chance to take a little bit of a deeper look and learn a little bit more about trainer Tony Alagna and the farm where all the magic happens behind the scenes. Terrific feature coming up, and more live racing after this on America's Day at the Races.
Purple Haze Standardbred Adoption Program in Oxford, New York was created in 2018 by Wanda Palacini to provide training to transition for finding homes and new careers for horses. Horses are started with groundwork and then ridden in an arena before moving on. Horses at Purple Haze are then evaluated and adopted out based on abilities and temperament. If you have a horse that you care about, or if you are looking for a great pleasure horse, contact Purple Haze Standardbred Adoption Program at 518-669-2715.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the management and staff of Keeneland, I would like to welcome you to the September yearling sale. Good to have you back with us.
It is the marketplace.
It's electric.
Quality in quantity.
Some of the absolute best horses.
These are the horses we're going to be cheering on in the next 4 or 5 years to come.
It's shareholder to win the Norfolk.
Dornick win the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Randomized in a dramatic photo finish in the Ogden Pit.
We've been looking at the farm for quite a while, and we finally came up with a deal to purchase it in April of 2020 is when we officially moved in. For myself, it was very important that we had our own track, our own facility with the amount of horses we trained, And, you know, it was very paramount that the track be exactly what I wanted it to be. And, you know, we've put over 1,000 loads of material on the track since we purchased it at $650 a load. So, I mean, it's so important to me that the track surface is, you know, the #1 priority as far as our training center.
What I really like about working in a big barn like Tony Alanya, #1, we learn a lot. We have top quality horses. Facility, as you can tell, is beautiful. Horses get the best care, and we're just having a lot of fun training these young horses and getting them through their paces.
Everything is, you know, for the comfort of the horse. Try to keep them as fresh as possible throughout the racing season. And the other thing is, with us being here at our own facility, we're able to control sickness a little bit more than we would at a public training center. So it's a lot easier for us, you know, to isolate a horse if it becomes sick. We don't have to worry about horses shipping in and out that are maybe sick from other locations. So I think it's really helped us all the way across the board.
I wanted to be where we have the best, so I ended up in New Jersey, ended up working for some top trainers, and now I think I'm at the best Tony Alanya.
You know, the needs of the horses come first. You know, everything we do is with them in mind. You know, buying the farm, the track surface, the spa, you know, everything we do, we spare no expense to make sure they're taken care of, you know, as well as possible. You know, we really roll out the red carpet for the horses and make sure when we put them on the track that we put them on track 100% and ready to roll.
So much work that goes in behind the scenes, and there is trainer Tony Alanya, who will send out the 3 Ari Ferrari in this upcoming Hambletonian maturity.
Yeah, you got to love Tony. From a racing family. Started young. His mom was a trainer out in Chicago and started off being with her and in that stable, and then eventually worked his way up, and he was Irv Miller's top assistant for about 6 years, and in between all that, he was a private trainer too. So really nice guy and great that we were able to go out there and check that out, and Tony give us a sneak peek of everything that goes on at his racing. Good guy and a good stable and outfit.
Yeah, I loved getting a chance to hear he talked about it and putting the horse first. And wow, look at that. Now that looks like a lot of fun with the bounce house over at the Meadowlands.
You ever been in a bounce house?
Oh, yes, many times.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Maggie Wolfendale destroyed the bounce house at Oaklawn this winter. I mean, she really went for it. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
So she's at the top.
Yes. I mean, it's been a few years for me. I'm off the layoff when it comes to the bounce house. But yes, I love a good bounce house.
So we have to have a bounce off.
Yes.
So we should try and plan this. I'm down for that.
This would be fun.
Yeah, I'm down
This
for
would
a
be
bounce
fun.
house. I don't know how my body's going to respond at this point, but I'm down for it. I mean, the
This
kids.
looks like it's like a bounce house obstacle course situation going on in the back. I mean, how athletic are you really, you know?
I mean, a little still, I think. I'd like to hope so. I mean, but I like how there's the one with the bullseye right there. So I guess the object is you have to bounce yourself into that and hit the bullseye, I would think, right?
I don't know, but whatever it is, that looks like a lot of fun. As we'll get a chance to meet the field for this upcoming Hambletonian maturity, starting off with the one up your Dio.
So he's one of the horses in here that's going to come off Lasix. We'll talk about that in a little bit, why that's happening. Late start to 2024 for this horse, still playing catch-up.
Here's the mare taking on the boys. Call me Goo.
You know, her Opera Flight Series win was a fast one. She's going to try the boys now while stretching out an extra 1/8 of a mile.
Tony Alanya sending out the 3 Ari Ferrari.
Let's get the 3 nice races against those Kentucky Sire Stakes. And a little miscue after that, but she'll be all right.
Number 4, Best Friend Volo.
Just humming along. His favorite taking down those legs out in Kentucky over at Oak Grove at 5 for 7 in 2024.
Here's the 5 Hasty Bid.
2 sweet pocket trips, converted both those trips into wins. We'll see what kind of setup this horse is going to get tonight from that position. It's going to be a tougher field, though.
Oh, well, looking for the first win of the year.
You know, when the dust settled last time out, this horse was pulling the train, which is kind of surprising because he's not a front runner type. So he gave way with that pace.
Their Special Way, heavy favorite right now.
You know, last time I thought she was sitting on a big effort and you would have got paid if she won. And she didn't disappoint, finishing right behind Winner's Bat.
And as you mentioned, another mare taking on the boys here. There's the 8 Help First Edition.
Couple of wins in 2024 and opens over at Hoosier. It's going to be a little bit tougher here, but did run into some really good horses last time out.
Ghostly Casper is next. Big price.
Yeah, dropped and popped for a win at Woodbine back on July 1st. Came back down here, was a huge price, didn't make much of an impact.
There is Winner's Bet. Beat Special Way in the Graduate.
So Winner's Bet's case, heavy favorite, ran the streak to 6 last time. Wasn't the easiest of wins, did all that dirty work into a fast pace. Coming off Lasix tonight, second tier, I don't know. I'm against this horse tonight.
And another one from the second tier. Here's French Wine.
Hasn't missed the board in 2024, 7 for 7. Steady Diet of Kentucky Sire Stakes. Those are good fields. Does have the second tier, but has the speed to be forward. Gonna have to work for it, but always seems to show up when big money is on the line.
Quickly, before we'll take a look at the July 6th race here for Winner's Bet and Special Way. We'll come back to the conditions in a moment, but taking a look at these two horses, talk us through what took place and why it was more of a workmanlike win for Winner's Bet.
Well, Winner's Bet came first over into that wicked 55-3 pace that OL ended up setting. And like I said before, it's odd to see OL up front because normally not a front runner, so when the dust settled, that horse was in front. But this was a nice run from Winner's Bet. And you can't take nothing away from Special Way. Special Way got the second over perfect trip. Just couldn't get there at the end at a price. And I had to laugh last week when we looked at that race because it was a photo finish. Chris Griffin was here. I said, you need to call it. You're a track announcer. He goes, no. He goes, your name is Paul. Paul's on these shows. Call the photos. And I had Special Way. So it was a little tough beat for me in there. But, you know, now tonight, I mean, I'm taking a short price on a horse that was a bigger price last week that got a good setup. But I think going the mile and an eighth will make a little bit of difference, too. Maybe set up her run as well to get there late at the end of the day.
And your pick, Special Way, here, you touched on it before we went to the post parade. No Lasix in this field as they're going a mile and an eighth for this trot as well. Can you go into a little bit on the conditions of this race and why that's important?
Yeah, the Grand Circuit rules. There's no Lasix for a lot of these races. And in the case of the fields in here, the number 1, the number 6, the number 8, the number 10, and the number 11 all have to come off Lasix for this stakes race with the rules the way they are written. So it's kind of hard when you look at it because you don't know how some of these horses are going to react without it that have had the benefit of it for quite a while. And in a horse like Winner's Bet, second tier, 2-1 short price, I know this horse has done well, but I don't know. I'm against this horse tonight.
Hambletonian maturity, Jess and Gabe, you said it's a tricky one. Where do you land in here?
Well, Gabe, it looks like you land on a horse that's offering plenty of price on the board, 39-1 on Chapper Craze. Now, they did add Lasix a couple of starts ago. I thought that was a really good step in the right direction. He's still missing, you know, that last quarter of a mile, maybe, or maybe just that last eighth of a mile, over 10 on the season, back off Lasix tonight. Now he's got the way outside. In a race where there's an added distance, some of those horses to the outside of the gate, I feel like do get a little bit of a jump on the horses to the inside.
Yeah, well, I think his hand's going to be forced, Jess. I think that's the major deal. Post 10, you know, you cannot take back in this spot. Yannick Gingras, very aggressive driver, obviously. He's going to blast out of the gate tonight. And I'm just going to take his shot because the price is huge. If he was able to get out of here, get a good solid trip, maybe draft behind a horse that retakes the lead from him, I just think he's got a major shot to be close. And he's going to be a big price. I know we just missed last race with a big price.
Yeah.
Hopefully Chapper Craze can get out of there, track, and finish right there the mix.
Hasty Bid is going to get the middle of the pack to work with James McDonald in town, of course, for a big stakes night ahead. You know, you have to go back and watch that graduate final. I really thought he took off late again in the stretch after maybe just kind of giving up a little bit there. Then he trotted home strongly again.
And he's got good tactical speed. That's a key. Good post utilized here tonight. He's mid-pack. Again, with the two trailers, I don't think he's going to want to take back because they're naturally going to get away in front of you. So I think he'll leave, get a good trip. Very similar to my thought process in the 10 Chapper Craze. The difference is you're only getting 8-1 there, but still not a bad price for the connections with Trader Dancy Tactor. James McDonald's already got a couple of wins on tonight's card.
There's two mares in this field. The 2, Call Me Goose. She was the Armbro Flight winner up at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and the 7, Special Way, has not been able to get in the win column so far this season. She's been facing the boys all along in the graduates. Just missed in that final, coming off of Winner's Bet's back, and I think if you give her another, 20 yards, she beats them.
Yeah, and she finally looked like the Special Way of old, Jess. I thought she was a little short at her first 2 starts off the year, despite second-place finishes. Last time she missed a nose there to Winner's Bet. I thought she had that really good look back to her. And keep in mind, there have been 10 total editions of the Hambletonian maturity. The mares historically have done very well. They've won 4 of the 10 against the boys, including the last 2 editions, Jess. MM's Dream last year, Bella Bellini the year prior in 2022.
Best Friend Volo is another horse who's got good tactical speed out of the Nancy Tactor barn. 5 wins so far this season from 7 starts. A very solid qualifier last week to prep.
Yeah, it really was. He's shooting off the wings every single start. I expect Scott Zeron to be aggressive with him here as well. He had good things to say after that successful qualifier. Now, the knock would be he hasn't had a race since mid-June, so he's been off nearly a month. That sometimes hurts the standardbreds a little bit more with, maybe not quite a tighter. Qualifier is never quite the same as a race. But I think he'll be aggressive, and I think, I've seen much worse propositions at 12-1.
It's an overflow field of 12. Of course, the second choice on the board is Winner's Bet. He's looking to remain perfect so far this season. 2 mares will take on the Colts in here. Will it be another mare? We don't know. Hall of Fame announcer Ken Workington will have the call.
8-1 action on the 5. Hasty Bid. Race 9 at 1 mile and 1/8. They're midway on the far turn. Into the stretch for the 9th race, the E.T. Gary Jr. Hambletonian maturity field of 12. Going 1 mile and 1/8. Here they come. And they're off and trotting. And there is Chapper Craze like a shot on the far outside, blasts off and goes for the lead. Best Friend Volo on the inside, stride for stride with Hasty Bid now second. Best Friend Volo third on the inside. Oh Well floated away in 4th position. Up Your Deo is 5th on the inside. Special Way is 3 wide in 6th. Keeping her up there, Ari Ferrari J. And then it's Winner's Bet towards the inside of that one, followed by Call Me Goo. She's at the rear of the field with French Wine. Stride for stride with Help First Edition. And the trailer is Ghostly Casper, 26 for the hot opening quarter, and it's Oh Well and Todd McCarthy. Oh Well in front, Special Way looking for the lead on the outside. Chapper Craze already back to 3rd on the inside across the back stretch. So Best Friend Volo in a second over position, 4th, soon to be 3rd. Ari Ferrari J inches closer, 5th on the outside into the flow. So Hasty Bid is shuffled back. Getting into that flow is Call Me Goo. Call Me Goo, followed by French Wine on the outside. Then a shuffle for Up Your Deo on the inside. And then comes Ghostly Casper, followed by Winner's Bet, who's next to last right now. And Help First Edition trails 55 and 2 for the half. On to the far turn they go. And in front now is Best Friend Volo. Special Way on the inside second. Left uncovered Ari Ferrari J on the outside 3rd. Oh Well with no racing room 4th. Call Me Goo second over, all set to flip to the outside, followed by French Wine. And Chapper Craze got shuffled back and is overloaded. They're at 3/4. Ari Ferrari J on the outside, steamrolling, trying to go by. And they turn for home, and it's Ari Ferrari J off 3/4 in 1:23, looking for the upset. And right there on the outside is Call Me Goo. French Wine down the center, and from way out of it, Help First Edition. In deep stretch, splitting late is Chapper Craze. Here is Chapper Craze in front. Chapper Craze right there with Oh Well and French Wine and Help First Edition in 2:05 and 2.
Chapper Craze holding on in a wild finish, and another terrific call by Gabe. This one his top pick, who is on the right side of the photo today.
Yeah, karma, right? So
right,
Gabe,
after the last race. And yeah,
they take it away, they give it back. But I'm sure Gabe, though, didn't expect it to be the way it was. There was so much action, so many horses did not see the pylon and outer flow from basically the beginning. Now Chapper Craze did gun off the gate to get that early position, but somehow ended up buried turning for home. Found a gear late, split horses, nice run from a horse who finally broke through. Got buried last week too in the stretch, but this time parlayed it into a win. So great call by Gabe.
Gabe, nice pick, but what a wild finish in this race in the Hambletonian maturity.
Well, it wasn't ever occasion. I was just looking for that yellow hood and that wild scramble because I was just hoping he may find a way through. Look, guys, the idea is when you go with a 32-1 shot, most of the time you're going to have to get a little lucky to get it done. But the race really worked out like I thought. I thought the 4, 5, and 10 would all leave the gate. You knew at some point that some of the logical horses would come up, and the tip was going to take a little bit of a shuffle there. But just a wild finish. Those horses are very evenly matched. So at some point, you just had to hope that the Red Sea parted, so to speak. It did this time in my case, and I will take it. That's how the horse racing game is. I was upset for 20 minutes. All of a sudden, we're right back with a $60 winner.
Pretty happy now, and rightfully so. Good pick by Gabe as Chapper Craze gets the win. And hey, we've seen a favorite with the victory in the last race, Paul, or I should say one of the favorites, but there have been some big upsets today.
Yeah, and in races like this, like Gabe said too, and I said it earlier as well, when you get a lot of these horses together and they're good horses, it really just becomes a matter of trip and who's going to be able to fire and just get that right setup. And, this horse is 0 for 10 this year, but it's been knocking on the door, seconds and thirds in the Graduate Series, and it's just interesting because, as Gabe said, you knew that this horse was going to leave out there from post 10, and eventually other horses were going to come calling. But boy, when this race did come apart late in that final eighth of a mile, got the split, found another gear, and got the job done. The Green Hornet, Nijinsky, gets the job done for Ron Burke.
Chapper Craze with the victory, making his way back to the winner's circle, looking quite proud of himself as well. Prices and more when we come back, and still to come. Nijinsky in the Meadowlands Pace, looking for his 7th straight victory. He has been undefeated in 2024 so far. Can he keep that streak alive? More on him as we get closer to the Meadowlands Pace after this.
Enjoy Saratoga's first premium giveaway, a drink tumbler on Friday, July 19th, free with paid admission while supplies last. Plus, celebrate the 10-year anniversary with players from the Union College Hockey Championship team. Visit NYRA.com for tickets.
Whether you maintain a food plot on the weekends, tend to a small herd of livestock, or work in professional landscaping, New Holland's family of Workmaster and Boomer compact tractors at Clinton Tractor can get the job done. Known for delivering outstanding value for their performance, these reliable, powerful, and easy to operate New Holland compact tractors will help you tackle your to-do list while being easy on your wallet.
We are the leader in service, Clinton Tractor.
ClintonTractor.net.
Monmouth Park's summer season rolls on with live racing action every Friday to Sunday. Monmouth's 2023 season featured our highest average field size since 2015, the perfect recipe for a prolific payday. With a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, plus our Winter Early Pick 5, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Joining us on site? Lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back on America's Day at the races. Look at that shot of MetLife Stadium as we are bringing you live racing tonight from Meadowlands Racetrack in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And we just saw another upset, this one in the Hambletonian Maturity. Chapper Craze with the victory.
If you're going to get your first victory of the year, do it in a big race and on a grand stage, and that's what Chapper Craze did here. But ran a very good race, and that's the cool thing about some of these mile and an eighth races, too. You know that you're not going to get too much single file alignment as well. You're going to have horses going at it from the opening bell, and that's what we saw. We saw basically two-wide racing the entire way around at some point in the pack. So it's an exciting thing when that happens, and you see a lot of trips. So there'll be a lot of horses to take a look at coming out of this race to see what kind of trips they pulled, and you'll want to take a look at that going forward to see where they land next time out.
Something to keep an eye on for sure. Nijinsky, the driver, though, he's standing by with Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. I have a winning driver, Yannick Gingras. Chapper Craze, a good way to punch through in the win column this season.
Yeah, no kidding. It was the right race for sure, but he's been sharp. I raced him the last 2 weeks, and he had a lot of trots on the end of it both time. Last week, I think if I was one spot closer, I think he might have won last week too. But, that's the way it goes sometime. Tonight he got lucky.
Let's talk about the trip tonight. Outside post, maybe your hand a little bit forced there with a couple of trailers.
Yeah, I had no choice, but if I took back, I was going to get away 12. So it was just trying not to go too fast. I mean, it's so easy to go 24, 25 second in a straightaway there leaving. So I was like, trying to rate him a little bit going to the first turn. And after that, there's like, a shit show of a race really. But we got lucky to get through in the stretch.
Yeah, you plenty of traffic to weave in and out of. There was a breaker in the stretch. What were your thoughts nearing the wire?
Yeah, just get through. Andy made a break. Andy McCarthy made a break in front of me, and just trying to close my eyes. It was real tight for a second, but like I said, luckily he just kind of the seat parted a little bit, and there was just enough room for my race bike.
Coming up later is the Meadowlands Pace. You're going to pick up Gem Quality from Post 5, winning his post position in Meadowlands Pace history. Just give us a thought on him.
I've raced against him for a couple of years. I think he's maybe a trip horse, but he's coming into the race really good. 24-4, 25-1 the last couple of weeks. I don't think he's going to need to come back that fast last quarter tonight to win. I think there's going to be some heavy fractions, and I think if I can have him within striking distance, and he's going to give me a good run.
Nice job. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
Chapper Craze upsets in the Hambletonian Maturity. Back to you guys.
Jess, thank you. As we get a chance to see another upset tonight, Chapper Craze with the victory. As we turn our attention to the 10th race coming up, it's the William Haughton Memorial. This one, a 1 mile pace. But first, we owe you some prices. As we heard Jessica saying, it was a big upset, and it was indeed 67-40, 32 to 1 shot. Great call by Gabe Pruitt.
Absolutely, and prices underneath too. French Wine and and French Wine ran a bang-up race from the seconds here.
I know you had some interest in French Wine.
Yeah, just couldn't get the last-second jump on Chapper Craze, who came up the inside. But like Yannick Gingras said, he had to move his eyes for a second when the horse to his inside broke a little bit, and it helped him out and got the C's to part. It's all about tripping some of these races, and that little inch made the difference at the end of the day.
And our producer Evan and I are just fans of drinking French wine. As there is the look at the field for the William Haughton Memorial, and pretty wide open besides Charlie May. As you said, Charlie May definitely gonna have to take the worst of it as far as the price is concerned this year, but you can make some cases for some of the others in this spot.
You certainly can in here. It's not just a one-horse race in here. It's just that Charlie has shown up on the big nights, and he's run well before this as well. He's got second-itis a little bit this year, but that doesn't mean he's not going to show up when these races count. Last year on this show, he beat a horse, Tattoo Artist, who is a really good horse, and he was able to put that horse away and pay $64. I don't think you're going to get $64 this year. I'm not, but I'll take whatever price I can get, and he's got a much better post this time to try and do it than he did in his last start.
Charlie May, the favorite in the William Haughton Memorial, coming up. We'll talk a little bit more about it after this, as Charlie May looks to go back-to-back, and will do it at a much shorter price this year. More on his chances and the rest of the field as live racing continues on America's State the Races after this.
My grandfather instilled in me that there's no such thing as luck. He said luck is where hard work meets opportunity.
Bulldog Hanover. Rocky Road Hanover looks for the upset on the outside. The others giving futile chase here for minor spoils. Bulldog Hanover, the Bulldog does it again. Bulldog Hanover, Rocky Road Hanover, and then Tattoo Artist. It's Bulldog Hanover, 1:45 and 4. There it is, the fastest mile in harness racing history.
The incredible Bulldog Hanover, winner of the 2022 William Haughton Memorial. And we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show, Paul, what this horse did for the sport of harness racing, the excitement that came with him every time he hit the racetrack. I mean, look at the crowd, just even people watching to get a glimpse of him. Just amazing.
And that's what the important part of it is. You know, you talk about all the accomplishments on the track for this horse, and you can talk about all the races he won, 28 of them in his career, 2.4 million in the bank, you know, unanimous selection, first time ever for Dan Patch. That's all great, but bringing people to the races, growing the game, wanting to see this horse and see if he can go faster and set those records and stop the clock even faster. That's what made him such a special horse. And people turned out no matter where he went. It didn't matter if it was the Meadowlands, if it was out at Hoosier, wherever he ran, people went to see the Bulldog.
Just incredible. We got a chance to cover him quite a few times on this show, which was a lot of fun as well. And Bulldog Hanover, a special talent, and what a fun horse, as you mentioned, for the sport of harness racing in general. Well, some big hoof prints to fill, if you will, from this year's field in the William Haughton Memorial. It's the 10th race tonight. Charlie May trying to defend his title in this race, but taking a look at a couple of the other contenders, Buckabet Hanover beat Charlie May in the Dave Brower Memorial last time out.
When you look at this race, you know, a Buckabet Hanover ended up being second over, and Charlie May had a little bit of excess cover in this race. But a Buckabet Hanover turned that trip into a really nice run in here. He got a sweet setup, and he did a good enough job staying in until he was able to get out behind Ken Hanover, who did all the dirty work. So he got the jump on Charlie May, perfect trip, but Charlie May, to his credit, does what Charlie May does and was able to find his run late, pick up his feet, and be there at the end. And, you know, some horses, they show up on big nights. Charlie May is one of them. A Buckabet Hanover shows up most of the time. He's a good horse. He can make his own trip in there. So it'll be interesting to see the chess battle that goes on between these drivers. And it's not really just those two horses in here. There's a few others that figure.
Potentially one of them, It's My Show, a horse who has some tactical speed as well. This is a horse who's just had one win in 2024, but has been overall quite consistent.
Yeah, and, you know, ran exceptionally well. We're taking a look at the Little Brown Jug race in here, and, you know, when you look at this horse, it's kind of been an up and down run. You look at 2024 and you say, this horse is only 1 for 6, and you kind of look at last week's race and you say, I don't know, last week made the top, didn't run too well. They blazed to that half, and Oakwood Arden was a drop down in a field of a lot of drop downs in there, and that horse just exploded down the lane to beat out It's My Show at the end of the day. And good horse, they tried to drop and pop, ran into a field of droppers, but this horse has a lot of back class to rely on in here, so I wouldn't count this horse out either in this field.
As far as Fucafalis is concerned, one that you certainly will be familiar with, having raced several times on this show. He's 4 for 9 in 2024, coming off of a win in the Graduate.
You know, it's funny. This was a popular win because we go back and we talk about the Dave Brower Memorial and Dave being a great guy. It's hard to believe he's gone, but this was a favorite of Dave Brower. He loved this horse. So to see this horse come back and win and all the New Jersey Sire Stakes ties that this horse has, it was really good to see the Vukafalis of old actually be able to roll home in a solid time and make that pocket move. Now, again, last week was kind of speed, but he had a nice pocket trip, but the way he did it gave you hope that he turned the corner again.
Here is the field for the William Haughton Memorial, starting off with the one Allywag Hanover.
I just feel like in his Brower, he made it to the top, but then he's had a nice enough trip, and he just didn't really rally in there. So he'll be forward again, though, from the inside draw tonight.
Defending champ, there's Charlie May.
Yeah, I'm a Charlie guy. I'm not too worried about the second itis. Big night, big horse. He'll show up. I think he's going to make his trip, and he's got a better post now to try and repeat.
Big price on the 3, Christchurch.
Yeah, you got to go back to May to see a win for this guy at Hoosier Park in an open.
Been a while for him. There's Vukafalis, who we talked about, that win last out.
Yeah, and it was a good stepping stone. Good to see him be back in the right direction. Any forward progress in here, he could be tough in here because he's got a little back class to fall on, too.
6-1 right now on the board. His favoritism has shifted over to this horse, the 5, a Buckabet Hanover.
Yeah, we talked about the sweet setup that he got in the Brower Memorial. Dexter did a good enough job driving. I mean, he knows he's handy, so he can put him anywhere. That makes him tough.
There is the 6, El Rey, second, last time out.
Yeah, he's going to be a long shot in here. He's 1 for 7 this year.
Yeah, there's It's My Show, a horse who is known to step forward in some big stages.
Yeah, we'll see what he could do after last week's effort. It was a step in the right direction, but they did try to drop and pop.
The 8, Tarasi went by. There's the 9, Why Not Now?
Oh, for 3 and 24, but maybe why not now? We've seen long prices tonight, 48 to 1.
Why not now? So who does Gabe Pruitt like? That's what I want
Yeah.
to know. There's Ruthless Hanover.
Made that backside brush last time out to lead in the Brower, but then he got pressured and kind of backed out.
And from the second tier, Rock and Roll Runa.
Another one who backed out to back in the Brower Memorial. He's going to be a long price in here in the second tier.
Well, for more, let's check in with Jess and Gabe. And Gabe, I understand you're 4 deep in this leg of the Pick 4.
Oh my goodness, is Gabe Pruitt, all he does is pick winners at, like, I don't know, 30 to 1?
Let's see what happens. We're not quite that big this race, Jess. We're sure going to be swinging for a price. This is a wide open race.
Yes,
so,
it is.
I think it's time for a race where we go price shopping as well. But you know what? We're live at the Pick 4. I don't want to cry about anything yet. Let's try and get it across. But if Caballero wins at 29 to 1 and then Champa Craze wins at 32 to 1, you know, we would be dreaming about some big balloons, but hopefully we can keep it going and get it done.
All right, these are the best open pacers in the world. It's the William Houghton Memorial. We had the upset winner in Charlie May last year, but like you had mentioned, it's a very, very competitive field. It's My Show is your top choice in here. Last year's North America Cup winner, Little Brown Jug winner, $1.1 million in the bank. Maybe just a little bit off his game after that toured mile he put up in the Kentucky Sire Stakes final down at Oak Grove. Then he was on Lasix again, didn't really do much. They took him back off of Lasix, changed a few things, and the last 2 starts have been very solid.
That's my look pretty much precisely, Jess. He's been a little of a Jekyll and Hyde type. You know, when he's good, he's very good. We saw him win the Little Brown Jug, of course, last September. But I thought we had a hint back of improvement the last couple of starts. This is a wild race. It's going to be a shootout as well. In fact, Ruthless Hanover's got post 10, and very similar how we talked about Champa Craze last race with a 2 in the second tier. I think he's going to be forced to blast here. He put up all the fractions in last year's William Houghton Memorial, and the fractions were stiff. Ruthless Hanover cut those fractions 26 flat, 52 and 4. So who knows if he decides to come out swinging there. Should have said there's only one trailer, but nonetheless, I think he's going to be forced to leave from post 10. The fractions could be huge here, and we saw the fastest mile in the history of the sport in this race 2 years ago. That was Bulldog Hanover, of course, 145 and 4. Jess, you remember that night.
Oh, my
gosh. It was a little chilly. We'd had rain. It did not seem like ideal conditions for the fastest mile in the history of the sport. Tonight, well, it couldn't be any better. It's hot. It's humid. It's a steamy night. We've already seen several big miles in the card.
Like Andrew Harris said a couple of weeks ago, these are the top pacers in the game, and it really comes down to the trip. That's exactly what Buckabet Hanover benefited from a couple of weeks back in the Dave Brower Memorial. Gets another perfect middle pack post to work with tonight. So he's your favorite on the board right now.
Yeah, he had bad luck in this race last year, Jess. He was the 8-5 post-time favorite. He was forced first up there. He attacked Ruthless Hanover in that effort. At the end of the day, the trip was just torture. He ended up stopping in that mile, but he comes in peak form tonight, like you said, off that Brower victory. The ownership group, that's the group that just bought Fun Time by Ama. He's going to be one of the favorites in the next race coming up, the Meadowlands Pace. We're actually going to catch up with co-owner Bruce Arman right here on this set. He'll be with us right after this race has concluded. So rooting for those guys, fun group. They like to put up their money and take a shot. They said that a Buckabet Hanover, Bucky, as they call him, that's their favorite horse.
It is a barn favorite. I was able to catch up with Andrew Harris earlier this week, and that's one of his favorites. So since, becoming a part of the Bill Pollock and Bruce Arman group there. So it would be interesting to see if he'll be able to get the job done here as the favorite. Last week we had another winner in Vukafalis, and this is another horse that's a 4-year-old facing older horses in this race. 4 for 9 on the season. He'd been racing very, very well leading up into that graduate final last weekend. Obviously, he was a little bit of an upset winner at 8-1. I think that graduate series has really prepped him perfect to take on the older pacers.
Yeah, it really has, but keep in mind that's only against 4-year-olds.
Right.
Tonight you're taking on much older, so it's not going to be easy, but he's got that good tactical speed. speed. I assume he'll be leaving the gate. And he's really a horse for the course here at the Meadowlands. He's a New Jersey-sired horse. We've seen him here dozens of times at the Big M so far just in his brief career. So he's pretty much based right here at the Meadowlands. He really loves this track, races well, and really brings his lunchbox to work every single day. I think he just always shows up with a pretty solid effort. So, could he step up and win? I don't know. But I do think that he's going to be a piece of the action here, and he's up there at 4-1.
I call him the New Jersey horse because it seems like everybody in New Jersey always roots for him. Our dear friend Dave Brower loved Bucephalus and loved the story behind him. Of course, the homebred. Would be really nice to see him sneak through and get a good chunk of this. The upset winner last year in this race was Charlie May, and it just goes to show you how tough racing can be in the state of Ohio. He's 0 for 4 on the season. He was second in the Open 2 there. He was second behind a bucket bet Hanover in the Dave Brower Memorial from Post 9. Post Relief, I think Jason Bartlett's a really nice fit for him.
Yeah, I think so as well. We saw him win last year just 31-1. He was coming in, a little off form. Dave Miller drove him that night in that race. So, he's switched drivers several times before. But Charlie May, we all remember he's had quite the history here at the Meadowlands. He crossed the line first in the Meadowlands Pace a few years back. So he thought he had a great night on Pace Night. That was back in 2021. Ultimately, he was deemed guilty of interference, and he was disqualified. So a tough break there. I think he got his Meadowlands redemption, though, Jess, last year, winning this race. Again, he was an upsetter there and really just skimmed the cones. We saw him just right up the inside there. Everyone started drifting out in the stretch. He saved all the ground. He got it done. He's a live one here tonight at 7-2.
We are really looking forward to this race. Overflow field of 11 for the best pacers in the country of the William Houghton Memorial. We'll send it back to the desk.
Jess and Gabe, thank you very much, as we'll get a chance to see the William Houghton Memorial coming up here. And Charlie May, now 7-2, Paul, has all of the money coming in on a buck-up at Hanover. So for your top pick, maybe you're not going to get as much a price as you did last year on Charlie May, but he's not the favorite.
Yeah, maybe he'll drift up a little bit more as we get to. How could you not love a horse who was 47 for 67 in the exacta as well?
Amazing.
Hard-trying horse. Always comes home in that 26 and change range most of the time. Will set up shop, probably find a helmet, and come with a run. I just like this horse as a whole. I'm a big fan. I thought has been a little bit unlucky in 2024 with a couple of trips. I think gets better posted tonight for sure. Should be a little bit closer to launch. And as Jessica said, Jason Bartlett is a good fit for this horse just on his hands alone and the way he drives. Not that he hasn't gotten great drives from Brett Miller or Dave Miller either in the past. And he likes it here at the Meadowlands. He shows up on big nights. It's a wide open group, more than the board says a little bit. I'm going to take a shot in here with the old guy, Charlie May, and that he's going to run well tonight.
The 6-year-old gelding, as Paul mentioned, 27 wins from 67 starts with 20 seconds and 5/3, a tremendous record. Earner of over $2 million already. Charlie May looking to pick up another one tonight at 7-2. The favorite, though, is the number 5, a buck-a-bet Hanover right now, trying to build off of that victory over Charlie May in the Brower last out.
And he got a great trip in there because Dexter Dunn kept him in long enough to let Ken Hanover do all the dirty work, dueling on the front end with the leader. Still had enough space to slip out and get behind Ken Hanover and then get around Ken Hanover as he gave it up at the top of the stretch and launch by and get that win. And that's what a buck-up at Hanover can do, create a trip and be able to finish at the end. So it'd be a good matchup in here with a good group.
William Houghton Memorial up next. Here's Ken Warkentin with the call.
Bet Hanover, the Brower winner, now 6-5. 7-2 on the 4, Bucephalus, the graduate champion. 4-1 on 2, Charlie May. 5-1 the 1, Allywag Hanover, won this in 2021. On gate. Here they come. They're off. El Rey shoots out hard for Gingras and goes for the lead. Bucephalus flashing his speed with Allywag Hanover on the inside. And from the second tier, Rock and Roll Runa is now third as Bucephalus sweeps up on the outside, fourth. Charlie May is fifth on the inside as they head to the opening quarter. Then it's a buck-a-bet Hanover, sixth now. Christchurch is seventh on the inside, followed by It's My Show on the outside. And then comes Why Not Now and Ruthless Hanover. Ruthless Hanover is stride for stride with Rossi at the back. 26-1, hot quarter. Bucephalus still looking for the lead. Bucephalus, Allywag Hanover yields grudgingly now. So El Rey back in third position. Rock and Roll Runa stays in fourth. Charlie May to the outside, 5th, tracked by a Buck-a-Bet Hanover, tracking him, and It's My Show gets involved from 3rd over position. Then it's Christchurch on the inside. Christchurch is followed by Why Not Now, and then it's Ruthless Hanover, and Rossi continues to trail. 53-3 for the half. It's Bucephalus in front. Alleywag Hanover in the pocket spot as they spin around that far turn. Charlie May making steady progress. He's inching closer and threatening on the outside. And right behind him is a Buck-a-Bet Hanover. No racing room for an overloaded El Rey, and Rock and Roll Runa's got pace in between horses. It's My Show fans to the outside. 121-4. They're in the stretch, and it's Bucephalus, the target. Bucephalus, a Buck-a-Bet Hanover on the outside, has open road and dead aim and comes at him. Bucephalus, can he answer and quicken? A Buck-a-Bet Hanover on the outside, surging. A Buck-a-Bet Hanover wins again. A Buck-a-Bet Hanover, then Bucephalus, Alleywag Hanover, and It's My Show in 147-4.
A Buck-a-Bet Hanover, the favorite, delivers, showing that Brower win was no fluke.
And actually worked out another good trip. 2nd over behind Charlie May. Followed that horse, tipped off of cover, and just ran down a good-looking Bucephalus at the end of the day, because Bucephalus got a little bit of separation and got to the top a little bit earlier than he did last week, but just couldn't hold off a Buck-a-Bet Hanover, who's a good horse in really good form right now and has gotten 2 really good trips in back-to-back races, parlayed them into big wins.
Good trips, but finishing strong as well. Gabe, a Buck-a-Bet Hanover, a horse that's in terrific form right now.
You know, he most certainly is, Acacia. 2 in a row, 2 major stakes wins in a row here tonight. $428,000 on the line. He got it done. And what a difference a year makes, guys. Last week, he was the 8-5 post-time favorite in this race. Tonight, he was much bigger than, or much smaller than that, obviously, at 4-5. But last year, he was tortured with a tough trip. He attacked. He got parked on the outside. It just did not work out. Tonight, the trip couldn't have set up any better for him. He got such a live cover toe up there with the 2 Charlie May. So he got to track, he got to draft, and then when it was go time, he got to vault off that cover. Really raced the final 1/8 of a mile or so, and that was plenty enough to get it done. Should be noted, Bucephalus, dead game in defeat. He put up all the fractions there, stiff fractions at that, and he battled all the way to the line.
Game performance from runner-up Bucephalus, but there is your winner, a Buck-a-Bet Hanover with Dexter Dunn in the bike, and he gets it done again. And I thought Gabe brought up a really interesting point that a Buck-a-Bet Hanover last year kind of plagued with troubled trips, and maybe he's being able this year to kind of find his own trip and make things work out. A horse that really seems to be responding when asked.
Yeah, and Dexter's been doing a good job of knowing where to place this horse as well. Sometimes it's a lot of racing luck, but other times, you know, you create your own spots, as we see, and you create your own trips. And his last start, you know, in the Brower, he was able to launch because he got a good setup where he was. And this time, Charlie May gave him a lot of good live cover as well. And he waited and waited and waited until Charlie May gave way, spun off that, and ran down. Pretty game horse who is now rounding back into form into Bucephalus. So it was a very good effort for a horse who is now 3 for 5 this year.
Fist bump for Dexter Dunn and pats for a Buck-a-Bet Hanover. Well deserved as he takes the William Haughton Memorial. A Buck-a-Bet Hanover back-to-back stakes victories for this 6-year-old horse who is now 18 for 64 lifetime prices and more. When we come back, we'll also look ahead to the Meadowlands Pace. Legendary Hanover might be known as Nijinsky's stablemate, but he also was pretty legendary in the elimination last week. More on him after this on America's Day at the Races.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. you bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Who's in for Mohegan? Obviously everyone. We're off to the races, and it's you for the win. A moment of calm before the dark and stormy. High score, one more, dance floor. Who needs skill when you have style? And feeling like it's the best time ever? Smile. Apps, craps, and nightcaps? Yes. Then it's down for the thread count to start it all again tomorrow. This is how it feels when you're all in for Mohegan. Mohegan Sun.
For over a century, success starts at Saratoga, America's #1 yearling sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, with back-to-back Preakness winners.
She's the Brave, wins the Preakness!
And Grade 1 winners Sierra Leone, Kingsbarns, and Prince of Monaco. The 103rd Saratoga Sale, August 5th and 6th in Saratoga Springs, New York. Where will you be?
You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Naira Bets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. You see that sign there, Hambletonian, August 3rd. And as we talked about tonight, pretty chaotic picture going into the Hambletonian. Not necessarily what we initially expected.
No, things got a little murkier, but I don't think you can give up on a horse like Karl yet. I'm wondering if a lot of people are going to jump the TCI ship and even Highland Kismet. What happened there? Coming off slow off the gate, we'll find out maybe down the line. Situationship put his name in the hat. It's going to be a fun one.
A Buck-a-Bet Hanover wins the Houghton Memorial, though. $3.80 winner. Let's head down to Gabe with special guest.
Thanks so much, Acacia. I'm standing by here with co-owner Bruce Arbin of a Buck-a-Bet Hanover. We'll get to a Buck-a-Bet first, but he's also the co-owner of one of the Pace favorites in the next race, Fun Time by Ama. Well, we've got one of two in the books anyway.
Yeah, so far so good. And look, the trip worked out. Once we got on Charlie May's back, you know from there he's going to be tough to deal with. So very, very happy for him. He's the horse that got it all started for us. So he has a lot of meaning in our hearts. So
sort of a reversal of fortunes tonight because he had such an impossible trip in this race last year. It couldn't have worked out any better, though, tracking that live cover tonight.
Yeah, we waited a year for it, but you know what? It was worth the wait.
No question about that. And you said it got the partnership started. Now, you guys have made quite the impact. You bought race horses that are already rolling. You've been at the yearling sales in Lexington and Harrisburg and really made a huge impact to the game. But it was Bucky here that got you guys rolling with a partnership, I believe.
Yeah, Bucky did. And then, of course, it was 7 colors. And what we did was we bought him after the Kane Pace last year because we wanted a horse for the jug, and they're hard to come by if you don't have them. So you got to pay for them, you know. So that's kind of what we did this year with Fun Time by Ama. We wanted a horse for tonight, for the jug, for the Breeders' Crown, and he's a real nice horse.
He is a really nice horse. He just missed his elimination, of course, last week to Nijinsky. You guys bought him after the North America Cup. He finished 3rd. How did you know the horse is for sale? How did that process take place?
You just got to keep asking. That's what we do in our line of business. So we ask, and Andrew called around for a little bit. We made calls on a few horses, and Sylvain Fillon was interested. He had a couple offers, he said, and nothing that was enticing enough. And it was a family horse for them, so it meant a lot for them, and we understood that. But eventually, the Fillon family thought that it was a good business decision to sell him, and so I'm sure that they're going to be very happy if he can do well tonight.
Yeah, and he what a huge mile. What did you think of his first effort there in the elimination that you guys had him?
It was phenomenal. He must have a huge set of lungs on him. He never did see a pylon the whole race, and it's not really how he races. If you look at his races, he's usually on the top by the half. He's usually there. He got locked in, of course, in the North American Cup, but last week was an amazing race, and he lost to a great horse.
Yeah, no question about that, Bruce. And reading up a little bit, I know you've been at the game a long time. You're from down at Freehold, of course, a half-mile track here in New Jersey. And I read that your first horse, a $4,000 horse. I'm assuming Fun Time by Ama was a little bit more price than that.
Yeah, he was a little bit more than that. And I think, like I said, I think the Fillons are happy, and we're really fortunate and happy to have them.
Congratulations. We're fortunate to have you guys in the business, and what an impact you guys have made. We hope to see you right back here in about 20 minutes, guys. Fun Time by Ama will start from post 2. Could be a logical contender, obviously, for the Meadowlands Pace.
Thumbs up from Bruce. Gabe, thank you. Fun Time by Ama, as you heard in that interview, second to Nijinsky in the elimination, and a very intriguing horse in that Meadowlands Pace coming up.
Yeah, and it's great for the ownership group, too. They are not afraid to buy horses. They did it with a Buck Up at Hanover. They did it with 7 Colors. Doing it with Fun Time by Yama as well. So it's good when you see owners grow the game and bring some horses in that are competitive and that make a lot of money for them and not only go on to great stud careers as well.
A Buck Up at Hanover, though, picking up another stakes victory. Excited connections in the winner's circle as our 11th race coming up will be the big one, the Meadowlands Pace. And no surprise, Nijinsky, a heavy favorite, as we will get a chance to hear from trainer Tony Beaton, who sends out both Nijinsky and Legendary Hanover, giving a little bit of an insight to what we saw from them last week.
Nijinsky's a limb. I was like, oh boy, like he's gonna have to do the dirty work here tonight. And I was praying to God when Louis did rush him up on the outside that it'd either clear quick or Todd would release him without too much of a fight. And I'm not sure if he cleared quick or Todd let him go easy, but he got to the front and like he was lights out after that. With Legendary, I think he's just a big, strong, rugged horse, and you know I don't know if he's tougher than Nijinsky because obviously we've seen the way he's been racing too, and he's got some tough miles as well. But I just find Legend's a bigger, stronger version of a horse, where Nijinsky's kind of like a sports car type of quick and very handy. Is probably his biggest attribute, and he's just, you can go any kind of trip with him. Louis tried everything so far, and it's been lights out so far, and I just hope he can continue get one more trip out of him this weekend. Nijinsky, I just find like he's matured so much from 2 to 3, where as a 2-year-old, he'd make mistakes leaving the gate, just wanting to go too fast and kind of overpace himself, and you know he'd make them mistakes where this year you can leave with him, you can take him back, you can do whatever with him, and he just handles everything with aces.
Trainer Tony Beaton, who sends out both Nijinsky and Legendary Hanover, and there's the man, the myth, the legend, or I should say the horse, the myth, the legend, Nijinsky, waiting for the Meadowlands Pace coming up.
Yeah, he's kind of like, what's this thing in my face?
I know.
He's got to check it out.
The camera. He's ready for his close-up.
He's got to be nosy, right? Like close-up right here, too. But now, listen, Anthony Beaton, great guy, great operation, and we've got a bounty full of riches coming into this race. So it's got to be nerve-wracking, as we've said, to have the top 2 choices going into this race. And we'll see what happens, how it plays out. Nijinsky is the better horse, but Legendary Hanover's been running well lately, so we'll see what happens. And if he trips out, and it was a tale of 2 limbs as well. Nijinsky had the tougher route. We'll see if that race took any starch out of him, but he's pretty solid. So I don't know, may have bravened him up even more.
Nijinsky 6 for 6 in 2024. We'll see if he can extend that streak and take the Meadowlands Pace. It's the big one coming up next on America's Day at the Races. There he is waiting in the wings. The 2024 edition of the Meadowlands Pace after this on America's Day at the Races.
We've had a wonderful breeding program here for years.
Pennsylvania has an excellent program. The proof of that is Harrisburg in November. That's a major event for Pennsylvania. We bring in some 6,000 individuals from all over the world. They want to buy Pennsylvania breds.
This is where the top stallions are. A lot of the top mares are here, and between the 3 major tracks here in Pennsylvania, it's perfect.
Pennsylvania has always been at the forefront, and we want to keep it there.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Captain Treacherous. Odds on Aculius trying to track him down as racing second. Sunshine Beach moving up on the outside third, but the Captain leads it by 2 at the edge of the toe board. Odds on Aculius cannot catch him. Sunshine Beach on the outside. They're coming down to the finish. It's the Captain! Captain Treacherous wins the Meadowlands Pace.
And there is a look at Captain Treacherous, winner of the 2013 Meadowlands Pace, who now stands for $30,000 at Hanover Shoe Farms. And he looks like he's enjoying life in the paddock as a stallion, and he's the sire of 3 entrants in tonight's Meadowlands Pace. They're all breaking right next to each other as well. The 7 Captain Albano, the 8 Captain Luke, and the 9 Captain Quarters.
Loving life. What a care in the world right now out there.
I love when they prance and run around their paddocks.
Yeah, it's cute, and then they start rolling around, and they have a little bit of fun, and believe me, good sire as well, too. He's doing great things, and you can tell by the amount of entrance he has in this field tonight.
With 3 in the Meadowlands Pace, and there's Captain Luke, who will try to represent his sire along with the others in this spot. Captain Luke, the 8 here, as this is a horse who will try to turn things around and find the winner's circle today as we take a look at the field for the Meadowlands Pace. Again, 7, 8, 9, all sired by Captain Treacherous.
It's funny, when you look at the field, you have to kind of look at the eliminations they came out of, because it was a tale of 2 eliminations. That first elimination, that legendary Hanover one, there wasn't much movement in the race. They all kind of just ran around. And then the second one, all hell kind of broke loose, and they were battling from the opening bell.
Let's meet the field for the Meadowlands Pace, as we do currently see Nijinsky at 4 to 5. The one at Saturday night went by. It is indeed Saturday night. Here's the 2, Funtime Bayama.
Certainly showed that this horse can race outside of Canada. New connections. Never saw a pylon last week either. I wonder if the race took a little bit out of him, or it just made him stronger. We're going to find out tonight.
There's your favorite. Nijinsky trying to remain undefeated in 2024.
Put it all together as a 3-year-old, and it shows both physically and mentally. Is way the horse to beat in here. Fought off Funtime Bayama last week. Didn't succumb to any of the pressure. That was a wicked pace and a throwdown that this horse was involved in the elimination. And we'll see what happens tonight.
Here's the 4, Mirage Hanover, was second in the elimination behind Legendary Hanover.
And it's funny because in that race they ran in post position order all the way around the track. This horse was the number 1 for quite a while. Driver Tim Tetrick, though, is looking to add to his resume. He could tie Hall of Famer John Campbell, who sat right here with 7 pace victories.
Pretty incredible. Here's the 5, Gem Quality.
That perfect pocket trip right behind Mirage Hanover. It didn't push the issue much and finished 3rd in there. It's improved effort at the end of the day. We'll see if this horse can step up here against some of the main contenders, though.
Big price on that one as we go to another logical horse, Legendary Hanover, winner of that other elimination last week.
The 2-year-old pacer of the year in 2023 for Canada. When you look at this horse, it's been an up and down year so far. Kind of settled without much movement in that first elimination, but he did pounce and might be better for that tonight. Maybe he's just cycling up into form. Is he as good as his stablemate? We're going to find out tonight if he can get any kind of trip. He's more than capable on his best to get it done.
4 to 1 right now on the board. Legendary Hanover, you heard from trainer Anthony Beaton a little bit earlier. Here's the 7, Captain Albano by Captain Treacherous.
You know, I was high on this horse going into the North America Cup. The trip just didn't work out. You know, one day he's going to get a good trip. He's got post 7 now. Last week, I kind of wonder what happened, that he kind of like broke stride for a second in the stretch, and he did come back and he finished up well in here. He's getting bet off of it. I know he needs some soft hands sometimes, but if he gets a good trip, he's dangerous.
Here is the 8, Captain Luke. A big price on this one.
You know, he ran 4th last time, but when you consider he was left out there as part of that 25 and first quarter, it's a little bit more impressive than it looks on its face with all the movement. He kind of ended up re-rallying for 4th when he got shuffled back to last. So wasn't a bad effort, better trip. He might get a better result tonight with a horse at a big price.
And next will be the 3rd and final son of Captain Treacherous, the number 9, Captain's Quarters.
It's interesting with the trip he got in the Elim, because Jody Jamieson decided to stay in. And then afterwards, Jody said, you know, in the North America Cup, you got to race a little bit harder to be top 3. Meadowlands Pace, you only have to race to be in the top 5. So did they kind of hold a little bit back with this horse tonight? I like him tonight from post 9. Maybe you can get some Jody Jamieson magic, and maybe we can get a Canadian driver to win.
And big price on the 10, Number Cruncher.
Never got off the pylons at all in that first Elim, and was a well-beaten 5th in there, but he did get into the finals, and he's going to be a big price in here. So
And there's the one. It's Saturday night. We missed him in the post parade and just wanted to remind everybody it is Saturday night.
Maybe he just got an early start on Saturday night. Maybe he was out. Like maybe he just went out. He just got on the track.
He was out partying.
Yeah, he was out. So 0 for 7 this year. He just hasn't been able to kind of punch through against this level of horses. He was well beaten 5th in that second elim last week, but he does have an inside post. It'll probably keep him a little bit closer.
As far as the 3, Nijinsky is concerned, won the North America Cup. He's looking to be the first winner of the North America Cup and Meadowlands Pace since 2020 to do that double. And he's a horse that the way that he's going right now, it looks like he's poised to do so.
He got a great setup in here and got a great drive in here, being towed second over into that pace. And boy, he exploded when he was shown open road in there. And he showed that it's no fluke this year for this horse. And, you know, at the end of the day, he's good enough that he doesn't want the lead. He doesn't need the lead. He can track off of horses. He can flip off of cover. He's just a really nice animal to watch. The way that he goes, his strides, you know, his physical presence on the racetrack, it's a big marked difference from when he was from the age of 2. If you go back and watch some of those races, you can see he just wasn't all put together.
Take a look at his elimination last week because it's something we've been discussing quite a bit, Paul, with the trip that he had and how much he had to work in this elimination in order to get into this Meadowlands Pace. Does it take something out of him moving into the big one?
So that's the big question, right? I mean, I think this might have made him even harder and more hardcore, which makes it scary for everybody else. I mean, you know, he was even better in this race than he was in the North America Cup because, you know, there was lots of action. There was a hot pace. He got to the top. He took heat from Funtime Bayama, shook that horse off. They threw it down in the stretch. I think tonight the gloves will be off again for this horse, and if he runs anything back to that last race, he's going to be scary in here.
Jessica and Gabe standing by. Nijinsky even money. Can he continue his streak and remain undefeated this year?
I think he definitely has a giant shot in doing that, Gabe, but I think it's really going to come down to the trip in here once again. We saw last week in his elimination, he took a lot of heat, he did a lot of the heavy lifting, but how much did that take out of him?
That's the question, Jess. You know, typically when we see those eliminations, I like to see horses finishing fast, you know, maybe, you know, flying to the final quarter of a mile. You know, how much did those two, Funtime Bayama and Nijinsky, did they both leave on the track last week? You know, that was an absolute war. We typically don't see that in those elimination races. You took a look back at it a little bit earlier. We'll see. Nijinsky is certainly capable, but hey, we're coming at this from the wagering side. Is he worth even money after he went on just a huge taxing mile one Saturday night ago? I'm not so sure. I just think that's too short of a price on him. Take nothing away from him. He's 6 for 6 as a 3-year-old. He's trying to become the third undefeated 3-year-old just to win this race. The others being Captain Treacherous and Tall Dark Stranger.
Huntsville was a winner in this race in his own right. He's going to have a son in legendary Hanover, the other Tony Beaton trainee in here. He was the other elimination winner as well, but that elimination, they lined up 1 through 8 going into the first turn. He saved all of his momentum for that last, 100 yards.
And that's why I gave him a little bit of an edge here, because I think he finished fresh. He got to track there that entire way. You mentioned his sire, Huntsville, with their 6 sires represented in this race, Jess. If you want to know how influential the Meadowlands Pace is when it comes to the future of the sport of harness racing, all 6 sires represented in this race all raced in the Meadowlands Pace, and they all got money in the Meadowlands Pace. So that is how big of a race this is for the overall sport of harness racing.
Speaking of, he's watching holds the record in the Meadowlands Pace. Funtime Bayama is a son of him. Second start for the Andrew Harris barn. Post 2, Dexter Dunn on the bike, parked every step of the mile last time out.
Yeah, and you have to wonder how long Andrew had this horse. Prior to that, they purchased him privately, as we caught up with co-owner Bruce Arman there after their last win with Buckabed Hanover. You know, and that was on June the 15th. You know, they had to come right back into Pace eliminations on July the 6th. So it was a quick turnaround. Andrews had a little more time to acclimate now. He's had a week. If they want to make any changes off that effort, it was a giant mile, but it was a very tough trip. You know, my concern is what did that take out of him into tonight? But he's back with a good post.
Captain's quarters is going to make to look at the Metro Pace double. He was 4th in his elimination. He really didn't give him any room until late in the stretch, and he paced him strongly.
Yeah, well, he'd had a foot issue coming into that. Herb Holland, his trainer, was quoted as saying, he had some muscle soreness. So going into this week, they've had him with a masseuse. He's done some acupuncture. He spent more time at the spa this week, Jess, than you have. Post 9 today. I like trainer Herb Holland's style. You know, he was quoted as saying, I guarantee they'll know we're in the race.
$650,000 on the line for the Meadowlands Pace final. The Glamour Boy division, 3-year-old Colton Gelding's on the pace, 4-5 on Nijinsky. Is he going to remain perfect in his 3-year-old season? We'll find out. We'll send it up to Hall of Fame announcer Ken Workington for the call.
48th edition of the Meadowlands Pace, sponsored by Global Tote, Field of 10 lining up. 4-5 on the 3, Nijinsky. At 4-1, the 6, Legendary Hanover. The other elimination winner, 9-2 on 2, Fun Time by Emma. And the others in double figures. Race 11, Meadowlands Pace final. Here they come. And they're off. Captain Luke from the outside blasts off with Captain Albano. And there goes Gem Quality shooting through between horses with early speed. It's Saturday night put in play. He is 3rd. Fun Time by Emma is 4th. So Legendary Hanover 5th on the outside heading to the quarter. Nijinsky 6th in the early going. That one stride for stride with Captain Albano on the outside. And in between them is Mirage Hanover's jammed up early and heavy traffic at the back. And then comes Number Cruncher in the early trailer. Captain's Quarters, first quarter up in a hot 26-2. So Fun Time by Emma and Dexter Dunn take the lead across the backstretch. Fun Time by Emma leads the way. Captain Luke pockets up after the quick start, and here comes Legendary Hanover on the move up. As Gem Quality is now 4th on the inside, stride for stride, with Nijinsky's making steady progress, tracked by Mirage Hanover in the other flow. Then it's Saturday night on the inside. Saving ground is Number Cruncher at the back. Captain's Quarters trying to get underway. And the trailer is Captain Albano, 53-2, 27 flat midway on the final turn. And it's Legendary Hanover and James McDonald. Fun Time by Emma right there, taking dead aim. Captain Luke on the inside, 3rd. Nijinsky poised to pounce from 4th. He's tracked by Mirage Hanover on the outside, 5th. And looking for room, Gem Quality has pace. They turn for home. It's Legendary Hanover, 120-2 in the stretch of the Meadowlands Pace. Legendary Hanover striding clear by 2, now 3. He's getting separation on Captain Luke and Gem Quality. Nijinsky not tonight. Legendary Hanover and James McDonald win the Meadowlands Pace. Then it's Nijinsky, Gem Quality, and Captain Luke in 1:46-3, a stakes record.
The fastest Meadowlands Pace of all time. Legendary Hanover with a dazzling performance here as trainer Anthony Beaton runs 1-2, I believe, as well.
And this horse was revved up, and it took a little while to clear, but boy, when this horse cleared at the half, this horse powered away and got separation. You could tell that this horse was running fast just by the action and the motion that this horse had.
Extending his stride.
Yeah, and accelerating out. Man, fastest pace of all time tonight, and open length victory for this horse tonight. What an impressive effort. James McDonald with the win. I believe that's the first time in almost 40 years a Canadian driver has won the Meadowlands Pace.
Pretty incredible. And what a impressive performance from Legendary Hanover. He's been the star handicapper all night. Gabe Pruitt, a top pick, and hitting that pick 4. Your ticket returning $984. Gabe, well done. Gabe made all that money. He took off.
He left. Drinks are on Gabe.
He left. Drinks are on Gabe. That's clearly what happened. No, of course, we'll get a chance to hear from Gabe in a moment. But Legendary Hanover, obviously the story here. Fastest Meadowlands Pace we've ever seen. And Pat's well-deserved for him. He really strode out beautifully there in the stretch. He was racing hard on the front and pulling away from the competition, and this is a salty field that he beat. But for more with the winning trainer, let's head down to Jess.
Thanks, Acacia. It's Legendary Hanover who takes the Meadowlands Pace stakes record here tonight. Tony Beaton, Exacta, how are you feeling right now?
I'm not sure what to say right now. It's pretty awesome.
You were able to take the North America Cup with Nijinsky. Legendary Hanover gets the Meadowlands Pace for you. We talked earlier in the week, and you said he's just maybe a stronger horse, and I think he proved that tonight, making that move up the backside.
Yeah, no, he earned this race tonight. Like, James made a big move, a bold move, but it was a winning move in the end, and he just shows what kind of caliber horse he is. And I love this horse right from the time Casey sent him up to me. It's just amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's winning trainer Tony Beaton of Legendary Hanover and Nijinsky. Stakes record 146-3.
Very impressive tonight, and Tony Beaton, he brought the right horses to the Meadowlands this evening.
Yeah, and to run 1-2, I mean, that's an accomplishment in and of itself, but when you look at this race, the race was over basically at the half when Legendary Hanover was able to clear, and you could tell that there was plenty of horse left as they turned for home, and the acceleration, the stride, I mean, you could see his ears and his face. I mean, he's all business right here, and pulling away from a group, including his stablemate Nijinsky, who is a really good horse. I mean, this was a peak performance at the right time for big money, and the fastest pace of all time belongs to this guy right here.
Legendary Hanover Stakes record in the Meadowlands Pace. You know, you talk about these big races, and we love to have the opportunity to handicap them, to look into them, but we talk about being fans as well. And when you see a performance like that, the race lives up to the hype, and you see a horse that just dazzles you. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
100%. And it's interesting when you go back and we talked about the Elims. This horse's Elim wasn't as stressful as Nijinsky's one. You know, in Legendary Hanover's case, they kind of just ran in post position order for a half mile. A couple of them made some moves late. And tonight, he aired it out. He had a lot in the tank after last week.
Let's go back to Jessica with winning driver.
Thanks, Acacia. Winning driver James McDonald, 146-3. That's a stakes record. You made a bold move up the backside. Just kind of walk me through the race.
Yeah, it was exactly what I didn't want to do before the race, but yeah, he's a big, strong horse, and sometimes he likes to drive me around the track, and that's kind of what he came up with tonight. And I know he's got the gears to do it, and last week just kind of solidified what I thought. And you know, the second he cleared, it wasn't like, oh, this is too much. It was like he's going to jog. Like he's a good horse.
I talked to Tony Beaton earlier in the week, and that's exactly kind of how he described this guy. Is he's a strong horse. He can handle a lot. You're pretty confident coming down the stretch there.
Yeah, I was. Like, yeah, I've just a couple times at Mohawk, he got lost on the front, but he didn't feel like that tonight. Like, he was all business, and when he's all business, he's a scary animal, and I'm just so happy to be along for the ride.
Last couple of years, your career's really taken off. Now you add a Meadowlands Pace trophy to your trophy case. How does it feel?
I can't even describe it. I never dreamed in a million years I'd be winning races like this. It was a thrill for me just to watch these races, so to be in them and win it is it's really special, Jess.
Nice job. Go enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Winning driver James McDonald, 146-3. That's a stakes record behind Legendary Hanover. Back to you guys.
Legendary Hanover with the huge win in the Meadowlands Pace, and you could just kind of feel the emotion beneath the surface with James McDonald, the driver. There's, of course, you're watching live coverage of the Meadowlands Pace, brought to you by Standard Bred Breeders Association of Pennsylvania, as it was Legendary Hanover with the victory and a big performance that we got a chance to see this evening.
A huge performance at the end of the day, because when you think about it, it's impressive enough on its face, just how he won this race. But to win by that many open lengths as well against a quality field, it's all smiles in the winner's circle. And well, it should be, because this was a great performance by a horse who is now coming into his own.
A crowded winner's circle, too. It's always all smiles in the winner's circle. Legendary Hanover with the victory in the Meadowlands Pace. Favorite performance tonight?
Legendary Hanover, I think, at the end of the night, I mean, he blew the doors out. And I think situationship as well for Ake Svanstedt. I think when you look at the murky kind of picture that we have for the Hambletonian, he stepped up tonight.
$6 winner, Legendary Hanover, as we'll go back over to Jess and Gabe. Gabe with us. Gabe, we thought you might have gone off to cash your ticket. Some great calls this evening, but guys, we were really treated to some wonderful performances.
It was a great night of racing, like you just said, Acacia. And Gabe was all over all of these top price winners there. It'll leave a few questions going into Hambletonian Day, of course, with TCI getting beat, Karl getting beat, Highland Kismet maybe a little bit flat in his first U.S. start. But overall, a really nice night of racing.
You know, it really was, Jess, but I'm like you. I think at this point we may have more questions than we have answers. It's going to be an intriguing summer. Some of the horses we thought had towered over some of their competition in these divisions, didn't have the best of nights, but that's okay. That's horse racing. They'll bounce back, we know. So it's going to be, interesting moving forward. I don't think everyone is quite as dominant as we thought.
And going back to the Meadowlands Pace, legendary Hanover making that bold move up the backside. James said that wasn't exactly what he wanted to do. But Tony Beaton was very confident in his horse. He said he's a strong horse and he can handle a lot, and that's exactly what he did to set a new stakes record.
Yeah, we chatted earlier. Paul said it as well. I just think having, not being overly taxed last week, get a nice, easy trip in that elimination. The other horses went so hard last week. A week later, it's just tough to bounce back that quick.
It was a great night of racing. We're so happy we were able to bring you guys along with the ride. Legendary Hanover gets a stakes record of 146-3. Back to you guys.
Jessica and Gabe, thank you for the insight and hard work all evening, as well as we got a chance to see legendary Hanover, as just mentioned, with that stakes record in the Meadowlands Pace. And it will be very interesting, though, moving on to the Hambletonian with that kind of chaotic picture after tonight.
Can't wait to see it. We'll have it all here for you on Fox. Make sure you tune in for it because you're not going to want to miss the action.
Thanks for joining us this evening for live coverage from the Meadowlands. For Gabe Pruitt, Jessica Otten, Paul Vidarosa, I'm Acacia Clemondis. We saw some great performances tonight. Sig Sauer upsetting earlier today. Karl going down a 65 to one-shot winner. We saw Buckabet Hanover victorious today in the Houghton Memorial, and legendary Hanover a stakes record in the Meadowlands Pace. We're back on Saratoga Live tomorrow on FS1 starting at 1 p.m.
We know that the horses are the foundation to this industry, but it's the people that brings us together. We need to celebrate the community that is horse racing.
The stories are amazing. The people that you meet and the love they have for this business warms your heart and renews one's faith in this industry.
I think this is one of the best things we've done in the last few years in horse racing, but it has to happen with somebody nominating an individual.
For centuries, the bond between horse and human has been forged in trust and hands-on care. Now the sport of thoroughbred racing is combining those timeless traditions with cutting-edge technology to raise our standards of equine safety to the highest level. Wearable biometric devices measure subtle changes in a horse's stride to help optimize safety and performance. State-of-the-art imaging technology helps pinpoint areas of potential concern for early intervention by expert veterinarians. And the sport's new independent regulator, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, is using AI